who get it done.
If you see something, why do you say something?
I see safe for my friends.
For my community.
For everyone here.
We all have something worth protecting, a why that unifies us. Report suspicious activity to local authorities. If you see something, say something.
Down on credit cards, struggling with high interest debt? You can pay it all off in days with Loan Pronto's Rapid Equity Loan. Hey, it's Dennis Cox. Get cash out now without touching your low rate first mortgage. No appraisals, no waiting, no BS. The Rapid Equity Loan program at Loan Pronto is amazing. One Loan Pronto client just got $300,000 approved in under 24 hours. They paid off debt, renovated the kitchen, and cut their monthly expenses by $1,800. That's a huge turnaround. Loan Pronto, instant approvals, low rates, no hard credit pull up front. Listen, your home equity is yours. Use it. Get cash to consolidate your debt down to one easy low monthly payment. Call Loan Pronto now for a free instant appraisal for your home and see how much cash you can get today. Loan Pronto is A+ rated by the BBB and have nearly 2,500 five-star Google reviews. Their service is off the charts. Call now to start the conversation. 919-381-1760, loanpronto.com. 919-381-1760. Get debt relief now. Loanpronto.com. Equal housing lender. NMLS 166171 on approved credit. NMLSconsumeraccess.org.
Well, these polymers aren't as flexible as batch K3.
Researcher Laurie is stretched thin.
Did you get the vulcanization analytics from V66? Oh, wait, are these rubber scores from last week?
She needs to hire new lab technicians so she can bounce back into her old self.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. Our matching platform lets you spend less time searching and more time connecting with candidates. Redeem your $75 credit at Indeed.com/credit. Terms and conditions apply.
I'm attorney Brian Ritchie. Getting hurt in a car wreck comes with all kinds of stress and frustration. But when you call me, I'll be on top of all of it. So all you need to worry about is getting better. If you've been injured in a car wreck, I'm on top of it. Contact us at ritchielaw.com.
Broadcasting live from the Lenovo Studios. WCMC HD1 Holly Springs. 99.9 The Fan. The Triangle Sports Leader.
Middle of the day on this Tuesday. Temperatures upper 70s already with highs in the middle 80s this afternoon. Mostly sunny with a little bit of haze. Overnight lows near 60, then a high in the upper 80s. Partly cloudy Wednesday afternoon. I'm meteorologist Chris Michaels in the WRAL Severe Weather Center.
Weather update brought to you by Newcomb and Company, where your comfort is their business. Visit newcombandcompany.com. 3 o'clock check of your money. Dow Jones is up 234 points to 42,540. Market update brought to you by Deep River Sporting Clays and Shooting School. Deep River Sporting Clays and Shooting School is calling shooters of all levels for Mission Unstoppable. Stop the clay invasion and shoot them damn things down. Learn more at deepriversportingclays.com.
Bryce in the pocket, steps up, eludes the rush, throws, end zone, caught, Adam Thielen, touchdown!
He'll toss it that way to Hampton, and he is in. Touchdown, Carolina.
Bailey, shotgun, snap left hashes, QB keeper, dives forward, touchdown, Bailey, his third of the night.
Cooper faces up with 5 and 4, drives Davis, spins, waiting, fades away, and hits!
Game over! Series over! Sebastian!
The Drive with Tim Donnelly on 99.9 The Fan.
The Drive with Tim Donnelly here on 99.9 The Fan. On a Tuesday, what's going on, everybody? I'm Tim Donnelly, Dennis Cox producing the show. The off-season is here. It's not as you know, it might be more recent than we wanted it to be, but the Carolina Hurricanes off-season is here, and the reason I know that is because Eric Tulsky and Rod Brindamore had their end-of-season pressers this morning, and I don't think it's a mistake that they do the players and the coach and GM separate. So the players were last week, coach and GM today, because the players, like, there's a lot of retrospective there. There's a lot of looking at the past season, explaining what happened, and that makes sense because they don't have much control over how the offseason is going to go for the Carolina Hurricanes, right? They don't know who they're going to go attack in free agency or the draft. They don't know what trades could potentially happen, and if they do, they would never let us know publicly. So when you talk to the players, it's a lot of breaking down hows and whats and what led to and how did you find yourself in this position, and you talk about the season, or you talk about the series that just ended. When you get to the coach and GM, to me, that's kind of off-season starting, and you're looking forward. Because coach and GM are the ones that hold the control panel, right? They're the ones that can put pen to paper. Or in the sales world, Dennis, I don't know, did you ever have a sales job in your many?
I did.
Right, you got to get to the decision maker.
Oh yeah.
Right. Don't let someone say no to you if they can't say yes to you. You got to get to the decision maker. Like Eric Tolsky and Rod Brindamore, those are the guys that can decide what this offseason is like. Right? Their signatures mean something on trade agreements. So, to me, the offseason starts today. And I think it's nice to hear some of it. It's also a little nerve-wracking to hear some of it. We have audio from Eric Tolsky as he had his beginning of the offseason presser today, along with Rod Brindamore. Here he has a clip of him talking about the young players they have on their team that could make the jump.
We have a lot of prospects who are doing really well. The team in Chicago this year was a very, very young team, and it made the playoffs and was competitive and had streaks where it looked like one of the best teams in the league. And those players are just getting better and better. You know, there's a gap between the AHL and the NHL, and we won't know until we get to seeing them in NHL action in preseason and training camp whether they're ready, but there's a lot of players who are on that cusp.
Which is very interesting. And obvious, like, we know the names, right? The Bradley Nadeau's, some others, that maybe a Felix Unger-Sorum, right? Those are the prospects that everybody gets excited about. If you still consider, like, Scott Morrow a prospect, he'd obviously be one of them. But they have seen him on quite a few NHL game actions, NHL shifts. Do you know what's the interesting part of that? That could be found depth. Because if he's saying we have to wait until we see these guys on NHL ice in training camp and preseason, well, you better have a complete roster by then that's not depending on them if they're still kind of unsure, right? So that could be that depth we're talking about where you might have somebody who's like a NHL super solid, steady player as your 13th forward or as your 7th defenseman, right? And how you get there is you plan to have a full roster, and then one of your rookies ends up being a star. I would love for if this offseason Eric Tolsky goes out and he solves all the problems, right? He goes and gets the goal scorer. He goes and gets the right-hand center that they've been dreaming about. He goes and gets a veteran D-man. He gets all of it. And then Bradley Nadeau shows up and is like, there's no way. And he says this with his play. There's no way you're keeping me off the ice. All right, well, let's put you in there, and we got to take out one of these super solid dudes that we had ready to play. That's how you get the organizational depth you're looking for. And then I'm calling this his mantra. I'll see if you can figure it out, but I'll break it down after. Here's Eric Tolsky on keep trying to get top-end players, and again, I think his mantra is mixed in here.
I prickle a little at the idea that it was a suggestion we needed something like, until we have all the best players in the league, we're going to keep trying to add. And it doesn't matter how many goal scorers we have. If there's a premium goal scorer out there who we can get, we're going to try and bring him in. I don't think Tampa or Dallas was looking at their team saying we really need a goal scorer. It's just you've got great players who you can bring in, you do it. And we're going to keep taking those swings every time we can.
His mantra is until we have the 20 best players in the league on our roster, we're going to keep trying to get better.
So Dave Canales, it's a great opportunity.
It is
great opportunity.
Inarguable.
Yeah.
There is nothing you can say in a rebuttal. Like there's no yeah, but. Except he's actually saying nothing there, right? You're not going to ever have the 20 best players on your team. It's a really nice way to set yourself up to always be able to answer the phone, to always have conversations about trades, and do your best to not hurt feelings, right? I heard you were talking to so-and-so about so-and-so possibly being traded. Well, until we have the 20 best players on our roster, we're gonna do everything we can to bring in explore all options. It is a very nice thing to say. The question is, What's the order, I guess. That's where I come from. Because like if you have let me think of the example here. Let's say Jacob Slavin, okay? What is he? And as far as all defensemen in the league, pretty safely, like top 5, would we say?
Yeah.
Okay. Let's say you have the option to get the number 1, but it's going to take Slavin plus. Wait a second. Hold up here. Hold up. You said you wanted to get the best players on your roster. You can get a better player, but it doesn't make sense because you're already really good there. Meanwhile, at another position, right, maybe center, you could go from, where would you put Kokiniemi as far as ranked in the league centers?
I don't think I can count that high.
All right. If we conservatively say 106th, I don't know, just picking a number. If the 30th best center is out there, you're getting a whole bunch more spots better, but you're not chasing a top 20, right? You need to make sure you're getting better at the positions where you aren't good, not just blindly chasing the best players. I'm sure if you talk to Florida or Dallas, or what do you say, Tampa or Dallas about getting a goal scorer, they weren't just looking for goal scorers. Well, I'm sure if they had Connor McDavid, they would have probably been looking somewhere else, right? You have to go. And he didn't say he's not doing it. He just kind of coach speaked around it. It's like, we want to know where you're going to spend your money on top-end players. I know you're always chasing top-end players. Which ones? And a lot of GMs wouldn't tell us, but that's what we're asking. And then, Dennis, I think you asked this question in the presser. I thought it led to a really good answer. Here's Eric Tulsky on finding the people that work in Carolina, not just the most talented.
It's very hard, and we want to do both. And we have a phenomenal culture here, and Rod is an incredible steward of the locker room and keeps things in the right frame of mind. And I don't want to make his job any harder than it needs to be at that. And so, we want to find players who can play and who will fit, but who will fit off the ice too, and step in and, listen to what he has to say, work with him, work with the teammates, fit in well. We want it to be a fun place to play. It's something I actually am very impressed by is these guys compete so hard on the ice, and they come off the ice and they have a good time together, right? And it's, that's a special atmosphere that I'm not sure every team has. And, if we can keep building that, I think it helps make us what we are.
I feel like this lesson is being learned all over the state of North Carolina, where I think John Shire learned it over his time as the head coach at Duke. I think the Tulsky learned it with maybe the Mikko Rantanen deal, where talent on paper is tantalizing. But if you don't line up the personalities in the right way, if you don't line up the personal goals in the right way, it can go haywire on you no matter how talented the roster is. Right? I think the early Shire Duke teams had a lot of very good talent, don't get me wrong, but also there was a lot of whining and there was no nonsense players, the ferocious competitors on those teams, and I think it was missing. This past year, I thought they had more of it. The Mikko Rantanen trade on paper, right? You put Mikko with Sebastian Aho on that front line, on the power play, on all, watch the heck out. But the part that wasn't really accounted for was, does he even want to be here? And that's the part that upended it all. So being clear on that, and I substitute hosted the Adam Gold Show today. I said this earlier. I don't like being a problems guy without a solutions guy. I have a really hard time discussing how I would do that. I think it's a handshake and you look him in the eye and you just got to get a vibe. But that feels like a really willy-nilly, wishy-washy thing to make like $100 million decision on, which is kind of what you were doing with Mikko Rantanen, right? Now, $100 million is basically what his contract came out to be. But I think a hard lesson learned, and I'm not saying it was this one, but I think most GMs and coaches learn it at some point. You have to be willing to walk away from what feels like a really good addition to your team because you just got a weird feeling in your stomach. And you're just like, I don't know. and you have to go despite the scoring, despite the skating, despite the size, I feel like I just ate a bad omelet, and I didn't eat anything today. Like, that's got to be enough for you to walk away, and that's got to be insanely tough with how tantalizing talent is. We'll get to more from Tulsky, and we'll hear from Rod Brindamore's end-of-season press conference later in the show. So do not worry. We will have more. But also, do not worry. We will have more baseball in the Triangle. Duke and UNC hosting super regionals. I mean, we're excited for the ACC, but take that, Southeastern Conference. Stick around.
Hey, it's Victoria with 99.9 The Fan with a Men's Health Month tip from WakeMed Heart and Vascular. Each year, smoking causes more than 480,000 deaths in the United States. That's nearly 1 in 5 deaths. Those aren't odds you want to play with. Don't put off kicking the habit. In just 1 year after quitting, a person's risk for coronary heart disease decreases by half. Learn more about how you can quit and get started today, plus other ways to care for your heart at wakemed.org.
Is your whole home operating at peak performance? With Newcomb & Company, your independent Trane dealer, proudly serving our community for over 70 years. As a Comfort contract customer, you'll get priority service and a 15% discount on all HVAC and plumbing service calls and repairs, including repairs and replacements for faucets, toilets, piping, garbage disposals, water heaters, drain cleaning, and more. Call 919-862-3000 or visit newcombandcompany.com. Newcomb & Company. Your comfort is our business.
It's bow time. Yep, it's eating time again. Now you could unload groceries, chop, dice, mince, preheat, heat, slap around the smoke detector, and then celebrate with a big old pile of dishes. But if you're tired of cooking, or tired of sorta cooking, it's time to feed the whole family with Bojangles Fried Chicken Family Meal. With Bojangles' famous chicken, fixins, biscuits, and tea, you can forget the cookbook and spend some well-earned quality time with a delicious dinner from Bojangles. It's bow time.
There's no time like bow time. Time to stop whatever you're doing for some of that bodacious Bojangles flavor. Satisfy your craving for flavor and your passion for boneless chicken with Bojangles 4-piece Supremes Dinner. 4 perfectly seasoned Cajun-fried whole breast tenderloin fillets, choice of fixin', a made-from-scratch buttermilk biscuit, and Bojangles' legendary iced tea. When you're hungry for flavor and value, it's bow time.
It's Jeff Jr. from Trajan Wealth, and I've got something important to talk to you about, your 401k. If you have changed jobs, there are 2 very important considerations. You don't want to leave your 401k behind, and you don't want to roll it over into your new company plan without consulting Trajan Wealth first. 401ks will often have limited investments or age-based options. Since companies have to make choices to suit all employees, they may not be suited to you, which could cost you fees and money. When you roll over your 401k into an IRA, you not only keep your money growing tax deferred, but you also gain access to a world of investment options specifically designed for you. Trajan Wealth and our fiduciary advisors have helped thousands, and we can do the same for you. Call Trajan today, 919-200-4000, 919-200-4000.
Advisory services offered through Trajan Wealth LLC, an SEC registered investment advisor.
You think Rush Hour Karting is just about racing? Think again. At our Morrisville and Gardner locations, you're stepping into a world of high-speed go-karts, axe throwing, golf and racing simulators, arcade challenges, and a full-service kitchen serving up serious flavor. It's where corporate events turn into bonding moments and friend nights turn legendary. This isn't just entertainment, it's serious adult fun. Visit rhkfun.com to plan your experience today.
Hello, I'm Joe Cordell, founder of Cordell & Cordell. Divorce is complicated, especially when your small business or professional practice is involved. At Cordell & Cordell, we understand that these assets raise unique valuation and allocation issues. For 35 years, we've helped doctors, lawyers, and small business owners navigate divorce with confidence. Call us at Cordell & Cordell. Let me tell you, I understand on a personal level, your business is much more than a job. It's your legacy.
Joseph Cordell, licensed in Missouri and Illinois. CordellCordell.com.
That ball slapped by Gallagher in the gap and gone.
You want to hear my best impression of Carolina Tar Heel baseball fans as their team eliminated Oklahoma and sent home another SEC team?
What's that?
ACC, ACC, ACC. Shout out to Tar Heel fans out there repping the conference, sending home another SEC squad. If I'm not mistaken, the ACC is somewhere around 21-9 in the tournament as a whole.
Something like that.
Something like 9-6 or 8-5 against the SEC. Yeah, take that. And it gets better. The ACC has 5 teams advancing to the Super Regionals. North Carolina, Florida State, Duke, Louisville, and Miami, all advancing to the Super Regionals. 5. Both Duke and UNC will be hosting right here in the Triangle, by the way. So UNC, obviously, maybe a stronger history, but Duke, first time they're hosting a Super Regional. First time they're opening a regional or Super Regional of any kind.
1/4 of the Super Regionals right here in the Triangle.
Take that. The SEC, by comparison, 4 teams have advanced to the Super Regional, but the ACC started with 9. I believe the SEC started with 14, which means the SEC broke the record for most teams to make it in to the 64-team bracket and broke the record for most teams to be eliminated in the regionals. That's not how they draw it up. But in a weird way, I get to use the same arguments I use for ACC basketball, which is, yes, when people got together in a room and they just decided who was better, which is objective and subject to human error, the SEC was the better conference. Once we got to decide who the better baseball teams are by playing baseball, the ACC has been better. And that's pretty much just where it lives, right? That's inarguable at the moment. It's my favorite part about winning games is you like the best trash talk in the world, right? Scoreboard. You can just point to the results. It is inarguable right now. Now UNC will be hosting Arizona and Duke will be hosting Murray State. 2 very different tasks. But I think I'm going to quote Oklahoma coach Skip Johnson right after UNC eliminated them. In his post-game presser, right at the end, unprompted. This was not a response to, like, do you think UNC can win the national championship? As a question. Skip Johnson said, you guys have a team here that can win a national championship. I can tell you that they're good. Now, part of that, you just got eliminated by a team, so you're probably, for your own pride, like, that team is a juggernaut. That is unbelievable. Makes you feel better about losing. But part of it is also unprompted after they beat you to say that. Might mean something. Scott Forbes, UNC's baseball coach, in a very similar post-game press conference, was asked if it meant anything for his team, an ACC school, to beat an SEC school.
I mean, not for me, honestly. I just want to do all we can to put these guys in a position to win a national championship. I don't care who we're playing. We talk about it all the time. We're going to work hard. We're going to lift hard. We're going to practice hard so we can try to dominate whoever we play. If that's something people want to write about, that's fine. I do feel like the ACC this year was the best it had been, top to bottom. It was a battle every single weekend, no matter who we played. You're seeing that right now in the postseason. Duke is in a super. So, I have a lot of respect for the SEC, but also, think the ACC is as good as any league in the country.
I need you to say it with your chest. And it is it's good for future Carolina teams if the ACC gets more respect. Right? Say you're the 10th best team in the ACC one of these years. You're going to darn sure have hoped that a bunch of ACC teams beat a bunch of SEC teams last year, so the image of the conference is high, so you're more likely to draw in to the regionals. Like, that's the part. I know that they're like the braggadocious coaches out there get kind of annoying. The Lane Kiffins. Brett Bielema has become this way in college football. But the coaches that are constantly touting how good their conference is or how bad the conference that is perceived as the best actually is, they're not doing it just because they like to have their Twitter mentions light up. They're doing it because it's good for their conference. You beat an SEC team, say it with your chest. Yeah, people told us that was the best conference in the league. We wanted to make a statement. Why are we fifth in the country when we're obviously better than a bunch of programs from that conference, but they put 4 of them ahead of us? Say it with your chest. Duke is playing Murray State. Quite frankly, I feel like I'm saying this once a week. A dumb decision by the NCAA, although it's up for appeal and maybe it'll be reversed. AJ Garcia, I think it's Garcia, might not be able to play for Duke's first game in the Super Regional. And AJ is one of their best hitters. AJ, with one swing of a bat, really changed the trajectory of the game that punched their ticket to the Super Regionals. And he might be ejected. And it's not because he did what the rule that it got him ejected was intended to prevent. Let me give you the details. So Duke is in a big game, right? When they go to the Super Regionals. And they have, I don't know why this is a thing. I don't think you need it, but it gets players excited. So who am I to bicker with? You remember like turnover chains, turnover props? Well, I guess there's home run chains and home run props. And, you know, it starts with a sledgehammer for one team, and eventually everybody's got one. Just like it started with the Miami chain in football, and by the end, there were like basketball hoops on the sideline, and you dunk it after an interception.
So, like, I think NC State baseball had like a hockey stick and helmet.
Yep. There's. By the way, some of them are kind of cool. Like I think you should be able to get hyped without props, but if you got props, whatever. And it got a little carried away, I guess, a couple years ago. So the NCAA put in a rule. You can have your home run props. They have to stay in the dugout, right? No bringing like a sword out to the on-deck circle to, LARP. None of that. So that's the rule. You bring your home run prop out of the dugout, ejection. So AJ hits a home run, okay? Does the trot around the bases, touches home plate, makes it all the way back into the dugout, obeys the rule, into the dugout. Duke has a hard hat as their home run prop. Made this joke earlier. I'm going to make it again. Because when I think of Duke University students, I think of like those guys, hard manual laborers, right? Ha ha ha. You make the joke about them being smart and executives. Either way, puts on the hard hat, does everything right, celebrates the home run. Ooh, my guess is a lot of pats on the head when you're wearing the hard hat, right? A lot of tapping on the head. Goes through all of it. Ends. He doesn't take the helmet off, right? He's wearing it, right? Just probably feels good about it. Makes him feel powerful. Couple of batters later, there's an RBI single. Everybody goes to the top step, maybe a couple steps out, to high-five the guy that just scored.
Which gave him a 3-2 lead in the bottom of the 8th.
He took 2 steps out. With the helmet on, his home run prop, which is not allowed out of the dugout, he took 2 steps out to high-five his teammate. It was not to celebrate him. It was not to celebrate the home run. It was he forgot to take off an article of clothing. He was the news host that walked out onto the stage and he still had the napkins tucked into his collar from when he was in hair and makeup. He just forgot to take it off and he took 2 steps. Ump caught him, ejected him. Ejection comes with a 1-game suspension. They are appealing. This is the definition of spirit of the rule versus letter of the law. Did he break the letter of the law? Yes. Does that warrant the ump? Does it give the ump the option, the authority to eject him and the suspension for the next game? Yes. Nobody is arguing that. But why was the rule put in place? What's the spirit of the rule? You wanted to stop taunting. You didn't want to be showing up the other team. After a home run, you didn't want to make a skit out of it, like a whole SNL sketch. Did any of those things take place? No, they did not. Spirit of the rule versus letter of the law. Now Duke, in quite frankly, what could be, the biggest game, and like it's one of the top handful at least, biggest game in Duke baseball history. And one of their better players won't be available, potentially, because he forgot he was wearing a hat. He wasn't running over and smacking the hat against the pitcher's face. Like, he wasn't doing anything, no taunting of any kind. It's disappointing to me. Let the kids play.
Here's the thing. It's like, really, what are we doing here? You know, you just said let the kids play. Last time I checked, these kids are all adults.
True.
They're all 18 or older. What are we doing here? It's like, come on, like, read the room. That's what I say to the umpire. Read the room.
For a second, I thought you were saying, like, the players should know better. I agree the players should know better. I think the home run prop should be something, like, so substantial that you can't forget it's in your hands. Like, if you're Duke Blue Devils, shouldn't a big trident or something? Something that, like, you're not going to run out of the dugout and be like, oh, darn, I forgot I was holding my trident. I don't know. It seems like a foolish reason to affect an actual baseball game when kids have worked their entire lives to put themselves in that, or young men have worked their entire lives to put themselves in that position. And scene. We have the Dean's List coming up right here on The Drive. But first, Dennis Cox has something he'd like to tell you.
Hey, folks, Dennis Cox here for my friends over at Law Tigers. Folks, that time of year, I don't know about you, I saw quite a few motorcycles out there on the road this morning. Always keep in mind, as a motorcycle rider, try and keep yourself as visible as possible when you're out there on the road. Don't drive or ride in someone's blind spots. Also, don't drive when you're in someone's blind spot. Don't sit in someone's blind spot, but also do everything you can to make sure you're visible to the cars in front of you, as well as the ones beside you, and most importantly, the ones behind you as well. Was riding actually behind another motorcycle rider earlier today, and you know what he did every time he was slowing down? Tap the brakes, so he flashed the brake lights. Boom, I could see him in front of me. All the little things you can do that go a long, long way in order to make sure you are safe out there on the road. But if you are injured in a motorcycle accident, make sure you contact Law Tigers. Give them a call, 1-800-LAW-TIGERS, even before you contact the insurance companies. Law Tigers, they're riders too. They know what your bike is worth. They know what your gear is worth. They know what you're going through after an accident. That's why your case evaluation is always free, and they don't get paid until your case settles. So call 1-800-LAW-TIGERS, North Carolina's motorcycle injury lawyers. Law Tigers is a network of independent law firms who are members of the American Association of Motorcycle Injury Lawyers. Law Tigers is not a law firm.
The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 99.9 The Fan. We'll get to I almost said the starting five. We got a long way till then. The Dean's List and more coming up next.
Westwood One Sports presents this special tennis update. New Jersey native Tommy Paul's now been a quarterfinalist on 3 different Grand Slam surfaces, but it's the red clay that Spaniards like Carlos Alcaraz grow up on, usually excel at. Rafa Nadal won at Roland Garros 14 times, and Alcaraz won last year. He's playing Paul now, and Alcaraz leads 5-love in the opening set. Paul, the last American left in the men's singles, with Francis Tiafoe's 4-set loss to the Italian Lorenzo Musetti. Iga Swiatek's 26th win in a row in Paris. Straight sets over Alina Svitolina. She'll now play Arina Sabalenka in the semis. Swiatek was asked about their rivalry.
I don't know if she elevates my game. Like, against every player we play different ways, so it's hard to compare, but for sure, like, our rivalry is pushing both of us, I think. But it's not only about the level of tennis, it's about, like, everything, how we work and how professional we are.
The tennis update, John Stanchauer, Westwood One Sports.
Saving for retirement was tough enough for us.
Yes, and navigating markets can be challenging at times.
I understand. That's why at Fisher Investments, we take a disciplined approach with your investments.
Tell us more about that.
We take an active approach to money management, positioning your portfolio for opportunities we see ahead.
So all your clients get the same portfolio?
No, we tailor your portfolio to your individual goals and needs.
What about communication? We don't like being left in the dark.
We check in regularly to keep you informed on the markets and your portfolio.
Which means you'll help us stay on track.
Yes, our goal is your comfortable retirement. And as a fiduciary, we always put your interests first, because we do better when you do better. At Fisher Investments, we're clearly different. Learn more at FisherInvestments.com.
Investing in securities involves the risk of loss.
You ever try fixing your car and realize you're missing that one part? Yeah, been there. That's why eBay is my go-to. They've got millions of parts, guaranteed to fit. I'm talking brake pads for when yours have seen one too many miles of stop and go. Oil filters, because you don't mess around with your engine care. Even got this cold air intake on my watch list. I might just go for it. To keep the ride cool and your DIY streak hot. Find all the parts you need at prices you'll love. Guaranteed to fit every time. eBay. Things. People. Love. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply.
This is the story of the one. As a lineman, he does whatever it takes to keep the power on in his community. And he wants a partner like Grainger who does the same. Grainger offers the professional-grade products he needs, from voltage detectors to harnesses to hard hats, plus fast, dependable delivery, so he can rise to every challenge. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Down on credit cards, struggling with high interest debt? You can pay it all off in days with Loan Pronto's Rapid Equity Loan. Hey, it's Dennis Cox. Get cash out now without touching your low-rate first mortgage. No appraisals, no waiting, no BS. The Rapid Equity Loan program at Loan Pronto is amazing. One Loan Pronto client just got $300,000 approved in under 24 hours. They paid off debt, renovated the kitchen, and cut their monthly expenses by $1,800. That's a huge turnaround. Loan Pronto, instant approvals, low rates, no hard credit pull up front. Listen, your home equity is yours. Use it. Get cash to consolidate your debt down to one easy low monthly payment. Call Loan Pronto now for a free instant appraisal for your home and see how much cash you can get today. Loan Pronto is A+ rated by the BBB and have nearly 2,500 five-star Google reviews. Their service is off the charts. Call now to start the conversation. 919-381-1760, loanpronto.com. 919-381-1760. Get debt relief now. Loanpronto.com. Equal housing lender. NMLS 166171 on approved credit. NMLSconsumeraccess.org.
It's a tight formation. Thielen slot left. Tremble the tight end. Here's the snap. The fake to Boone. Young backpedals. Rolling to his right. He can run for it. He's got the 10. He's got the 5. Bryce into the end zone. And Carolina takes the lead.
Feel like I gotta wait for the beat to drop. Is the beat gonna drop?
I mean, I doubt it's going to be 3 minutes and 32 seconds of just this beat.
Hey.
I mean, you never know.
If you could pull it off.
Why not, right?
Now I'm curious. Does that count? They added a little bit of a...
Sure.
All right. The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 99.9 The Fan. Reminds me of that the Lonely Island. I think it's Lonely Island. They did the video of the DJ at the like the festival. Like it was like an EDM festival. And if you looked at the DJ, like the tables, the turntables, it just had like an old, remember the Staples Easy button?
Yeah.
And it just said drop. And his whole set was just him going like, oh, nah. And everyone was, oh, like they're just waiting for it. And he's almost hitting the button and no. And then eventually he hits it and boom, and the whole place goes crazy. It was teasing that, you know, somehow DJs draw massive live crowds to just watch them press buttons.
I had a former boss who was really into EDM.
That kind of stuff?
Yeah.
All right. Boots and cats and boots and cats and hey, different strokes for different folks. Whatever knocks your socks off. I just don't know if I would pay as much to see a DJ as I would a musician or a singer in concert, where I think, you know.
Yeah, see an actual band?
Yeah. Just my personal cup of tea. My personal cup of tea at the moment is to jump into the Dean's List. Class in session. This is where we highlight those in the college or educational sports world that deserve a little extra praise, a few extra accolades. It's pretty simple. First of all, I mean, we already talked about them, so I won't spend too much time, but we'd be remiss not to put Duke and UNC baseball. They're hosting super regionals. That's pretty darn good. Pretty darn good. There's not that many teams that host the super regionals, and they each get to. And then on that same path, ACC baseball for having 5 teams in the super regionals and 4 SEC teams in the super regionals. So that's just good to hear also. So I'll throw both of those on the Dean's List. Even though we've already talked about them, I just want their standing to be confirmed. How about this? Cam Newton. He is on the ballot officially this year for the College Football Hall of Fame. So I know Auburn's not in our area, but he played as pro in Carolina. I do think it would be kind of recklessly baller to make the College Football Hall of Fame for essentially 1 year. Like, his one season at Auburn was that good.
It's a pretty damn good year, though.
Heisman, national championship, undefeated, first overall pick, College Football Hall of Fame, all off of whatever, like 13 games. Like, it really wasn't 14 maybe, I forget exactly. But goodness gracious, Cam. And if you ever want to have a real fun game, go look at the rest of that team. Cam's college team, this was not the 2019 LSU squad with Joe Burrow with pros all over the place. It was Cam like, all right, fellas, hop on the old shoulders here. I'll carry us to victory. And then he did it every single time. College Football Hall of Fame. And by the way, they made a cool decision. I don't know if you saw this. So I guess College Football Hall of Fame gets a dean's list. There was a rule that to be inducted as a coach, if you had been a head coach, you had to have won at least 60% of your games. Just like a standard for entry. And Mike Leach, who passed away, had won 59.5% of his games. And the reason he'd be going in wasn't because he was some unbelievable head coach. It was because he essentially revolutionized offensive football in college football. He was like literally revolutionized an entire sport. Everybody runs some version and some of their playbook of what he developed. And they made the rule that now you only need 59.5% winning percentage to get in. So they shoehorned Mike Leach, which he deserves to be in the College Football Hall of Fame. It'll be posthumously, but still. Do you have some dean's lists you'd like to throw in there?
I don't, actually.
Right.
I was going to say Duke and UNC baseball, but
I mean,
there's
it's there. I have two more here. One, high schooler by the name of Mason Howell. Mason Howell qualified for the U.S. Open yesterday, 2 days ago, whatever it was. He shot 63-63 on a recklessly tough course. Did not have a bogey the entire day.
Jeez Louise.
And but to qualify for the U.S. Open, you're up against Max Homa, Padraig Harrington. These guys were trying to qualify because they weren't already officially entered. So they tried to go through regular qualifying, different course. They weren't going up against Mason Howell, but Ricky Fowler, they all go through qualify. So it's not like he's out there against a bunch of average Joes. They're legit golfers. He qualified. He is a 17-year-old high school junior. He's already committed to Georgia, by the way. So I know Wake Forest here is a great high school player, golfer, and they're are we recruiting this kid? He's already committed to Georgia. For the class of 2026, he's going to play in a major.
Could you imagine just at that age, just not even bogeying a hole
for two whole rounds?
For 2 whole rounds?
In one day.
And then, oh, by the way, you're going to go play in the U.S. Open. That's pretty wild.
I mean, it's essentially hey, I played pretty well in district basketball. So in a couple weeks, I'm going to play the Lakers. What? Wait, he might get paired with Tony Finau. He's going to be playing in the U.S. Open. Last one here, and this is going to go against everything we've talked about for the first 40 minutes. The SEC. The SEC, Southeastern Conference, has changed their rules on penalties for schools whose fans storm the field or rush the court.
Okay.
There's no longer an escalating fine system where the first one is $100,000, the next one $250,000, whatever it was. Every single time there is a field rushing or court storming, $500,000. They want to put an end to it. $500,000 is a lot of money. Especially when coaches start doing the math. That could be a half of a starting point guard, or we can rush the court after we win a game. I need that for NIL money. That's a big deal by the SEC. And the SEC usually is not that squad. But I also, to be completely honest, I put this on here just to shoehorn in one of my favorite theories. I can fix the court storming issue.
Okay.
I can make court storming and field rushing better. A clock. Soon as the game ends, minute countdown on the Jumbotron. That minute is how much time the opposing team has to get the heck off the field, right? Minute should be enough to get to the tunnel. If you
For
want
football, I'll give it 2.
If you want to go minute and a half, whatever. But then you tell the fans, after this timer's up, go wild. Can you imagine? Unranked Dartmouth. I don't know why, but they're hosting Houston. And they beat Houston. And everyone at Dartmouth, 20, 19, hold. It's like Braveheart. 17, 16. Players are now in the middle of the court, and they're egging them on. Come on, let's go. 3, 2, storm rushing. You don't have to worry about who was the guy a couple years ago for Duke that hurt his knee at Wake Forest?
Oh, Filipowski.
Kyle Filipowski. Don't got to worry about getting Filipowski'd. You don't got to worry about coaches having to be meat shields between the players and the fans. You don't have to worry about fans running up with phones wanting selfies and getting, players taking them and throwing them. And it becomes more electric. I don't want to say I fixed everything, but I think I fixed everything. And that's it for the Dean's List. Class dismissed. Earlier today, transitions. Earlier today, and you are listening to The Drive with Tim Donnelly here on 99.9 The Fan. Rod Brindamore, along with Eric Tulsky, the GM, Rod Brindamore, the head coach of the Carolina Hurricanes, spoke to the media. It was kind of their end of season / beginning of the offseason media availability. And we have a couple clips here from Rod that I want to get to, and then we look towards the trade market. Let's start with Rod being asked about the team trying to go for a top-end scorer. I believe in the question they referenced 40-plus goals, which is kind of a convenient threshold because there's a bunch of 30-goal scorers on the Canes, but no 40-goal scorers. So here's Brindamore's response to that.
Everybody would love to have them, and, of course. And I think you look at, you mentioned all those names, we're going out. If they're out there, Eric's trying to get them. And I think everybody appreciates that. I think the room does. Having said that, if it doesn't, we feel really good about our group. So what he mentioned earlier, if there's a better option out there to make us better, he's trying to get it. So that's what that tells me.
This offseason is a tough one for the Canes. Tough, not in like it's a bad one, because I think they have a lot of resources. That in and of itself, though, makes it a bit tough. Here's what I mean. Of course we'd like a 40-goal scorer. Everybody would. If you want it and it's priority number one and you say it's a gotta-have, I think you can get it this offseason. You may have to overpay in a trade. You may have to overspend on a contract. You may have to go do it. But if you want it, if that is the thing you think has been keeping you from winning in the Eastern Conference Finals and keeping you from getting to a cup, this offseason you have it. Like the reason why like a Jake Gensel wasn't re-signed by the Canes seemed to be because they didn't think early enough that they could make the money work to give him an offer that would get him to commit, right? You don't have that excuse this year. If you want somebody, go get it. And I'm not saying they grow on trees. I'm not saying they're cheap. I'm saying they're very expensive, but you have money, right? If it's, I don't know, it's like the freedom of being rich, and I wouldn't know, but also I'll use it this way. This is a different analogy. Once you retire, it becomes way more difficult to turn down invitations, right? When you're working, you're like, I'm swamped. I can't take that Friday off, but tell your daughter, have a good wedding. Once you're retired, yeah, I guess I do have a lot of time, don't I? All right, where is it? Where's this destination wedding that I'm invited to? All right, let's go. Same is true, like when you don't have much cap space, it's real easy to say, like, I'd love to get all the good players. When you got a ton of cap space and a ton of draft picks and a ton of prospects, It's like, I can't just say I can't, huh? I either got to do it because I want to or not do it because I don't want to. It's not really a can or can't situation, which is the gift of this offseason for the Canes. If they want something, they can go get it. The downside is if you don't get something, it's because you didn't want it. Right? If you go spend a bunch of money on a goalie, all right, we got it. You felt goalie was more important than 40-goal scorer. You go spend bunch of money on a 40-goal scorer, and you give up a bunch of trade things and picks and say, all right, that's what they valued. If you try to dip your foot into every barrel a little bit, all right, they thought they needed more than just one thing. But their actions are going to tell us everything we need to know. Rod Brindamore was also asked why he wants Brent Burns to come back. Brent Burns being a unrestricted free agent this offseason. Here is Rod Brindamore.
Giving me a little bit of credit because I'm sitting here, but really it's those guys. It's Brent, it's Jordo, it's these guys that when you walk into that locker room and you see these guys do their thing at the experience they have, it's just everybody just, okay, this is how we have to do things. So he's great that way. All that, the older you get, sure, you're going to slow down a little bit, but I think he did a great job this year, and I think he's kind of learning too how to change his game a little, and that's we had the best penalty kill in the National Hockey League, and he's a big part of that. So I don't think that was something that you would say 10 years ago was up his alley, So he's figuring that out, and I can't say enough good things about him. So where it goes, obviously there's business and all that comes into play, but I'd love to have him back.
This is I'll say it this way. There is a requirement, I believe, in the relationship between the coach and GM if you're going to have a player's coach. And by the way, Rod is that. Rod might seem intense, and even at the press conference, he had his hat pulled down low and the shadow came over his face, so it kind of looked like he was wearing like a Batman mask or something. Like he's an intimidating dude, but he is a player's coach, right? He knows what it's like to be a player. He knows when he has to ease off because players are in a grind. He's a player's coach, right? You saw the hug between Pesci and Rod after the Devils game. Like that's a player's coach hug for a former player. But if you're going to be that, you need a separation of powers between the GM and the head coach, right? The GM then has to be bad cop and has to keep distance because Rod can sit there and say all of the flowery positive things about Brent Burns and how he's turned himself into a great penalty killer and how he's responsible for the culture and how much he loves Brent Burns. And then Eric Tolsky can send him packing, or at least maybe, not re-sign him. And there's no betrayal there. Meanwhile, if Rod Brindamore and Eric Tolsky came across as best friends, if they lived next door to each other, if their kids shared a pool, if they finished each other's sentences, if they would order when they go to restaurants, like you get the pasta, I'll get the gnocchi, and then we'll each take half so we can taste each other's. Like if they're doing that stuff, and then Rod says nothing but positives about Brent, and then they don't bring him back or they make him a super low ball offer, it feels like you guys just lied to me. But if there's the separation, Rod gets to go, I wanted you back. Everything I said was true. He didn't want you. And you kind of get it lets Rod be Rod while also having somebody making the tough, more hardcore decisions that you have to make if you're gonna run a roster correctly. So I do think it is important that Rod can say all the flowery things about Brent Burns, and I still, coming out of that press conference, don't think Brent Burns is coming back.
Slight chance, I don't see it.
If they do, then I think something will have changed. But Rod saying all those things, it's still nice to hear. It's just it doesn't change anything because I'm like, oh, that other guy sitting at the table, he didn't say it, right? He was a little bit more vague. And speaking of, I don't even know if we have time here. I'll go with a secondary point. There's something about the trade market that I want to get to that is hilarious. But I'm going to go with something different. And it's something that we need to remember. So I was stumbling around, and it's a dangerous place to wander, right? You want to know what you're looking for and get out. But I was stumbling through and around NHL Twitter, right? Just scrolling and clicking links and checking hashtags, doing everything that's just going to kill an hour of your time, and you're not going to have anything to show for it. And I stumbled into it was kind of like a mixture of Buffalo and Chicago free agency like wish lists.
Okay.
And I'm like, oh, this is kind of interesting, right? So now I'm in deep and I'm intrigued. This is going to just be a waste of time. But one thing I noticed was when I go to my own mentions and I see everybody sending in these trade ideas or these free agency plans for the Canes, a lot of the names are the same ones that other teams that have a little bit of cap space and a few prospects are interested in. It's kind of the other side of the market, which is the Canes have a bunch of money to spend under the salary cap. The Canes have a bunch of prospects, and they have a bunch of young players, and they have a bunch of draft picks, and they can go spend. But it is a limited market, right? And you really have to figure out what a player is looking for. Because if they come to the Canes, I mean, unless you are a 1%er of a 1%er, unless you're a legend, you're not going to be the main character on the Canes. You probably go to Buffalo. Chicago might be behind Bedard, maybe. But like there's room there for you to spread your wings and be higher usage. You gotta figure that stuff out quick. And I'm sure I didn't do it because only so many hours in the day. But I'm sure if I went to like darn near every fan base's Twitter world, they'd all be talking about Mitch Marner.
Of course.
They'd all be talking about Robertson. They'd all be talking they'd all be talking about goalies. They'd all be talking about Gibson and Twayman, and they'd all be talking about the same ones that so many Canes fans are talking about, and they're not going to be a perfect fit for everyone. You got to figure out which ones are a perfect fit for you. Because I do think, and it happens to all of us, right? We all get like main character syndrome, where we think our team is just going to go out there, and as long as they have the money to make a fair value or maybe a little above market value for a player, they're going to get them. But there might be somebody that, always dreamed of playing in Canada. There might be somebody that, isn't that interested in playing two-way hockey. They just want to be a scorer for hire. There might be somebody that whatever, right? You got to figure that stuff out just as quickly as you're figuring everything else out because they're going to have other suitors. Right? When the Canes are filling the roster with end-of-the-bench guys, there might be people that don't have a lot of other offers, and they get one and they're excited and they accept. When you're shopping top shelf, a lot of other teams are going to be checking up on it to make sure that the price is something that is above what they're willing to spend.
Yeah, you mentioned Chicago. Chicago has more cap space than Carolina. Chicago also has 2 first-round picks this year, 2 first-round picks next year. They also have 2 second-round picks this year, 3 second-round picks next year. So if they wanted to package and move and do a whole bunch of stuff, wheeling and dealing, Chicago could do that, and they need to overhaul their roster massively. But they have the ability to do that just like Carolina does. So Carolina isn't unique with they got a lot of cap space. Well, yes, they don't have the most.
And I know there is a certain person that works in Carolina, but if you're just looking top of free agency lists, like Chicago can check the same lists. It's not like Sportsnet or Hockey Night in Carolina are, exclusive to us. Like everybody can go, and not only that, you can go to Pro Hockey Reference and search by plus minus and points scored. Like everybody can go find the best players available, and then it just becomes about finding the price that's right for you. And is anyone else willing to go higher? But it is I guess it's kind of like advanced scouting or something. I was to outbid a Blackhawk, you have to think like a Blackhawk. Like I was in their world. They didn't know I was there. I was peeping their notes. And they were writing all the same notes that Canes fans were writing. And I was like, this might not be as easy as we think to just go ahead and get the 40-goal scorer, the second-line center, the stud veteran defenseman, and maybe a goalie or two. Like it's not going to be just shopping. You have to go to the auction and outbid. The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 99.9 The Fan. We have football at 4 coming up next, including an awesome behind-the-scenes look at the Carolina Panthers draft. Stick around.
champions are crowned in June. The NBA Finals.
The Oklahoma City Thunder going to the finals for the first time in 13 years.
The Stanley Cup Finals.
The Florida Panthers are on their way back to the Stanley Cup Final.
The U.S. Open.
And strokes the putt up the hill into the middle. 2 times a U.S. Open champion, Bryce DeChambeau.
And the College World Series. Your home for championship action all month long. 99.9 The Fan, the Triangle Sports Leader.
Let's move. We have soccer practice, dance, and a play date.
Life moves fast, so every second counts, especially when it comes to big decisions like buying a car. That's why searching through Navy Federal's car buying service powered by TrueCar is a perfect place to start.
Thanks, Mom.
Navy Federal can help you find and finance the right vehicle so you can go wherever life takes you. Visit NavyFederal.org/TrueCar to learn more. Navy Federal Credit Union. Our members are the mission. Navy Federal is insured by NCUA. Credit and collateral subject to approval.
Adam Gold in studio with my friend Ryan Monsine from the Aluminum Company of North Carolina. Because you guys do everything for the exterior of your home, these things can add up. And there are a lot of people who think, I can't afford this. How can the Aluminum Company make it easier?
Yeah, well, Adam, we have plans that are 12 months, 0 interest, and 0 payments for 12 months, which make it super affordable for people to do anything on their home, whether it's windows, siding, doors, roofing, gutters, any kind of exterior home improvement. The Aluminum Company has financing plans that can fit in your budget and make it easy.
So wait a second. I can get everything done, no interest, and no payments for 12 months?
Yeah, and you get a lifetime warranty once the project's done.
I get a lifetime warranty once the project is done?
Yes, sir.
What about my down payment?
No down payment, no
What?
deposit.
No down payment, no deposit.
No payment until the project's done.
No payment till the project's done.
Exactly.
Where do I sign up? Aluminum Company of North Carolina, aluminumcompany.com.
The playoffs are in full swing, and you can get in on all the action at ESPN Bet Sportsbook. Go from tracking the latest game-changing moments to placing bets in just a few taps. Right now, new customers can get $100 in bonus bets when you make your first $10 wager. Download the ESPN Bet Sportsbook app and sign up with promo code JOEQ, J-O-E-Q, to get started today. Must be 21 plus. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Terms and conditions apply. See app for details. Offer not available in New York.
Progressive knows road trips without your pet can be tough.
Hi, this is Next Stop Dog Boarding.
Hi, it's Scott again. How's Squeaks doing? You can tell if he's stressed by his eyebrows. Oh, and his breathing should sound like this.
Scott, Squeaks is exactly the same as last time you called.
Okay, let's talk in 20 to see if anything's changed.
With Progressive, your pet is covered up to $1,000 in vet bills in case of a car accident. So next time, you can take your pet with you. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates, not available in all states. Coverage for dogs and cats is included with the purchase of collision coverage and subject to policy terms.
If you need to hire, it seems like the whole process can be exhausting. You search resumes, wait for the right candidates to apply, set up initial interviews. It's a lot of time and work. Well, what if you could meet with qualified candidates for your job the very next day? Now you can with Zip Intro from ZipRecruiter. And right now, you can try it for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. Zip Intro is super easy to use. You simply pick a time, and it does all the work of finding and scheduling qualified candidates for you. Then you can choose who you want to talk to and meet with great people on back-to-back video calls as soon as the next day. Best of all, you save time and energy.
Try Zip Intro for free right now at this exclusive web address, ZipRecruiter.com/free. Zip Intro. Post jobs today. Talk to qualified candidates tomorrow. Once again, go to ZipRecruiter.com/free to try it for free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
This hour of the Triangle Sports Leader is powered by Ritchie Law Firm, Injury Lawyers. Ritchie Law is on top of it.
That one back, that one going, gone!
Go to RitchieLaw.com.
That's RitchieLaw.com.
Broadcasting live from the Lenovo Studios. WCMC HD1 Holly Springs. 99.9 The Fan. The Triangle Sports Leader.
A nice warm up here midday Tuesday with temperatures in the upper 70s. Highs this afternoon in the middle 80s. Mostly sunny with a little bit of haze. Overnight lows near 60, then warmer Wednesday with highs in the upper 80s. I'm meteorologist Chris Michaels in the WRAL Severe Weather Center.
Weather update brought to you by Newcomb and Company, where your comfort is their business. Visit newcombandcompany.com. 4 o'clock check of your money. Dow Jones up 214 points today to 42,519. Market update brought to you by Lionsgate's Ballerina. Lionsgate's Ballerina follows Anna de Armas as Eve Macaro, a young assassin trained by the Ruska Roma. Set between the events of John Wick Chapter 3, Parabellum, and Chapter 4 with a hauntingly elegant edge. In theaters this Friday, June 6th.
Let's move the chains. Time for Football at 4.
The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 99.9 The Fan. Football at 4. First of all, not during the show, because you have all the entertainment you could possibly need. Your cuppeth overfloweth with entertainment. But later tonight, if you haven't done so already, after we're off air, check out the Panthers Blueprint. It is a sporadically released. There's no real schedule to it, but the Panthers, Carolina Panthers, put out these 20-minute, half-hour long behind-the-scenes videos at different times throughout the calendar, and there's really only 2 things you need to know about them. One, it's all behind-the-scenes stuff, and it's unbelievable access. And 2, it's state-owned propaganda. Like, the Panthers aren't going to put out anything that doesn't make them look good. It's all there. It's like a document. They're doing a documentary on themselves.
State-controlled media.
Yeah. So take that for what it's worth. If you do check it out, you will see quite a bit of coverage from this station. You hear my voice. You see Dennis and Chris on their podcast, Panthers Playbook. So what's going on, Panthers, if you're listening to this? Now let's get into the reactions. First thing I noticed. Second thing. The first thing I noticed was Dan Morgan talking about drafting players, and he said this exact quote, and it's one I'm going to use. If you are going to miss on a guy, it's usually because you don't know the guy good enough. I love that. Because fans tend to think it's like, oh, did you not know his skill set wasn't good enough to? It's like, no. His skill set is good enough. Guy ain't work hard enough. Guy doesn't love the game enough. Guy's thinking about stuff off the field. Guy stopped working as soon as he got big money. And those are, I think, a lot of times the reasons that guys fail. Not saying all of them. Some guys do everything right, and they are just not good enough.
You miss on the person, not the player.
Exactly. So I also think that's much harder to evaluate, right? I can tell you if you're fast or slow. Do you know how? I get a stopwatch out. We set a distance. You run, I count. It's much more difficult to judge the dude, but I like that he acknowledged it. The second thing I noticed was this. They were calling T-Mac, Teteroa McMillan, quote, our guy, well before the pick. They're starting to be like, if our guy's available, okay, if our guy's there, if our guy's still on the board. And I was going, our guy, that is big time. Not big time in that, they evaluated him highly. It's big time in that, how do I think an underrated, like, if you asked me, this is how I'll word it, because it happens all the time. If you came up to me and said, oh, my team drafted so-and-so, do you think it's going to work out? I get that question a lot because I do this and I'm a nerd and I just know whatever. If I had a genie then pop up and the genie's like, you can ask me 3 questions. Questions 3. One of them would be, does everybody in the facility actually like this person? Did they want this person? Were they all unanimous in their desire to get this person? Because that right there tells me like the resources that will be used for him to figure it out. If everybody was on board for Teteroa McMillan and he starts his career slowly, There's going to be meetings. You're going to have all hands on deck. Let's get the personnel, the scouts. Let's get the head coach, his position coach, the coordinator, the GM into a room, and let's talk. And the scout's going to say, this is what he did well in college. This is what we need to get him doing more of. And the position coach is going to say, this is what he's been struggling with. And the coordinator is going to say, these are the plays that I think we should run that could emphasize the strengths. And the GM is going to be in the conversation. The head coach is going to be overseeing it all. Meanwhile, if it's a player you don't like, if it's a player who, man, I wanted to trade up for the other guy, but, you didn't want to, so now we have to settle for him, and he starts his career slow, instead of all of that energy, you're going to have, I told you, especially if the other guy that they wanted to trade up for is having success elsewhere. I was right. Them being all behind him is huge. He's our guy. And he was their guy before they even drafted him. For a second in the video, I thought Mason Graham was their guy. I thought they were saying, like, if our guy's still there, and I thought the 5th pick was going to go by and they were going to go, there's our guy. But no, it ended up being McMillan. Another thing I noticed, and this is what teams just never give you the insight on. The Rams wanted the 8th pick. The Rams, who had the 26th pick, wanted to go from 26 to 8. Now, let's set the stage here. That's a big jump in the first round. That's like, all right, you want 8, you're going to give us 26. You're going to give us, you're from LA, we're going to have we're going to own 50% of the Star Wars franchise. We're going to get, a couple more seasons of Arrested Development. Like you're going to have to give more. We want Malibu. We want a lot for this move. And I think and throughout the entire time, you kind of hear a few times Brant Tillis, who's like the right-hand man of Dan Morgan, just say like, oh no, we really like our guy, but let's make sure we hear from the Rams before we let's make sure we get a call back from the Rams. So they hinted that there had been prior conversations. They get the call. The Rams make an offer. All right, let's think about it. They hang up. They talk. Dan Morgan goes like, no, that's not enough. Brant Tillis says, would you do the offer that you gave him before? Which is, again, new information. That's all right. The Panthers had made an offer to the Rams already. The Rams came back with a deal that wasn't the same. So Brant Tillis calls up the Rams and says, we do the deal that Dan told you before. And I'm going like, what great wording for the documentary, because you can have then us show that call, or you can then show us that call, and we don't know what picks and players were involved. Because if he would have called up and said, we do the deal where we give you the 8th and the 4th, and you give us the 2 firsts, the 2 seconds, and the kick returner, then they wouldn't have been able to show us that clip. So Tillis did his job. They end up turning it down. They don't budge. The Rams think it over. They take Teteroa McMillan. But I love that from the young GM. I keep calling him a young GM. He's young to being a GM, but he's fully grown adult. I really like that from Dan Morgan. I like the comfort he had in drafting McMillan. I like that he left the door open to have his hair absolutely blown back with an offer. And I like that when his hair was not blown back with an offer, when it was still as gelled and as in place as it ever is, he was very comfortable saying no, playing it up to the wire. One of these calls took place with less than 2 minutes on the clock, and he made the pick, and he got the player that he'd been calling our guy for the last couple of hours. That's well executed. That is well executed.
Yeah, let's not make a deal just for the sake of making a deal. Like, you have to have some blown out of the water is what he said, pretty much.
Which I do think some GMs get into. They get intoxicated by the I could be the wheeler and the dealer.
Hey, Brant Tillis even said himself, "Like, I just love action. I like trading up. I like trading down. I'm all about action."
And it did feel like they both got caught up a little bit in the second and third round trading up for the DNs, but after showing the restraint in the first round, I'm kind of like, man, no, they didn't, because they don't, right? We've seen them not. It was, again, was it state-owned media, state-owned propaganda? Yes. Was it going to make them look bad? No. But I think it showed some very good development for a GM running his second draft versus his first. And I know I'm not supposed to say this out loud. I think David Tepper played his role well. David Tepper was in the building. He was in what I'd probably say the third most important chair. Dan Morgan, most important. Brant Tillis, second most important. On the other side of Dan Morgan was David Tepper, the owner. David Tepper was kept informed. He was kind of chatting but not offering anything, at least in what they showed, which is what an owner should. Like, if I owned a team, I'm in the war room on draft day. I'm taking that dopamine hit. Like,
for sure.
I'm in the war room, and any question I have, unless you're on the clock, you explain to me. All right, who are we thinking? All right, why? Okay, let me talk to the scout. Like, I'm getting information. I'm just not changing anything. And then when they drafted Teteroa McMillan, they called up Bryce Young. And, Bryce, what do you think? Ooh, everybody's happy, right? Yay. And Tepper grabbed the phone, and he said, hey, Bryce, you're not getting any Christmas presents this year because you already got yours. It's a joke about getting the receiver. That's the owner's deal. That's what you do. You don't make the pick. You make the corny joke about the pick. And you want to talk to the quarterback? Good. Because guess what? There's going to be some billionaires happy hour in a couple of weeks. And I can already see David Tepper, the top of the table, calling over some hedge funder. So, draft day. We get Bryce on the phone. Right? Bryce had the good season last year. We want him to take the next step. And I tell him, this is a bad David Tepper impression. It's not his accent at all. And I tell him, you're not getting a Christmas present this year because you already got yours. Right? Like, let the owner do that and let him be in the mix. Just it doesn't actually do anything. I kind of think that's the owner's role. You own it. You paid billions of dollars for it. Enjoy it. Be the owner. Just don't be the GM. And Dan Morgan and Brant Tillis were definitely running the show. And Eric Eager, the guy with the numbers behind him, their VP of analytics.
Yeah, that was really cool to see. Hey, what's the chances of one of these three guys going to be here at this pick? 50%. All right, I like 50-50. If it's 50-50, I'll stay.
We'll come back to Eric Eager during the maybe during starting five, because I think he is a fascinating individual on the team. Eric Eager, VP of analytics for the Carolina Panthers. That is, to me, sounds like, hey, resident smart guy, resident genius. Or if you've seen what's the Big Short? It's my quant. If you get the joke, you get the joke. The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 99.9 The Fan. Before we move on, Tim Donnelly here with Gordon Miller and Miller Lending. How about this? Gordon Miller and Miller Lending can take care of the numbers for you. If you pay attention to this show long enough, you've seen me botch enough on-air math that you're like, yeah, you should probably have someone else take the math for you. When it comes to 30-year mortgages, when it comes to should I buy down rates, should I buy down interest rates, the math can get overwhelming, right? How much will I save month to month? How much will it save me over years? What if I do this? What if I do that? Miller Lending can show you all of your options and show you that most mortgages in this country, the average mortgage lasts shorter than 4 years. You're refinancing, you're moving, you're paying off your mortgage. The mortgage, you're not holding the exact same mortgage for more than 4 years on average, and it's been that way for decades. That changes the math. Oh, do I get my money back if I buy down rates if I am expecting to not have the mortgage for 10 years out of the 30? Do I? All of these questions are great questions for Gordon Miller and Miller Lending, and most of them will end up with, you're probably better off getting a no closing cost loan from Miller Lending. No closing costs means no cost, no fees, no third-party fees, no money out of your pocket, none of it. Not at closing. All you have to do is obviously put the down payment and then get ready for your monthly payments. That's how it works. The number to call, 919-447-3377. That is Miller Lending, 919-447-3377. Their website is actually easier to remember if that's possible. It's millerlending.com. That's millerlending.com. Miller Lending is an equal housing lender, NMLS number 250-2146. When we come back, we have the Ladder Challenge, new and improved edition, and Copper Drop. Stick around. It's all coming up next.
Move your sports day forward.
It's been a while, but the Carolina Hurricanes won't have to figure out in free agency how to spend the money, but what to spend the money for. Unlike us common folk who probably have to use coupons, General Manager Eric Tulsky will have a different challenge. He's probably going to have to pay over sticker price to build a Stanley Cup winner.
Get set up. Join Next Up with Paul Ihander. Mornings at 9 on 99.9 The Fan, the Triangle Sports Leader.
Westwood One Sports presents this special tennis update sponsored by Prevagen. Prevagen, made for your brain. Best showing for the Americans in French Open men's singles since 1996. 2 quarterfinalists, but Francis Tiafoe lost, and Tommy Paul is losing. Tiafoe hadn't lost a set through his first 4 matches, lost in 4 sets to Italy's Lorenzo Musetti, who gets to the French semis the year after he did it at Wimbledon. And an understatement to say that Paul has had a tough time with defending champ Carlos Alcaraz, who won the first 2 sets 6-love, 6-1. Paul does lead 4-3 in the third. As for the women, the favorites won. That's top seed Arina Sabalenka, still yet to drop a set. 7-6, 6-3 over Qinwen Zheng, who last year won Olympic gold at Roland Garros. 3-time defending champ Iga Swiatek, 6-1, 7-5 over Alina Svitolina. Swiatek extends her French Open winning streak to 26. 2 more wins. She'll have 5 French titles, 4 in a row. John Stanshauer, Westwood One Sports.
David is a real Prevagen user, and this is his story.
Nice to meet you. My name is David. I've been a pharmacist for 44 years, and I'm from Flowery Branch, Georgia. When I first started taking Prevagen, I noticed stuff just seemed to come together and fit like a jigsaw puzzle. When I have customers come in, I recommend Prevagen. Number one, because it's safe and effective, does not require a prescription, and I've been taking it quite a while myself, and I know it works. I wouldn't recommend something like Prevagen if I didn't think it was worth it because it works so good for me. And I love it when the customers come back in and tell me, David, that really works so good. Makes my day.
Prevagen, at stores everywhere without a prescription. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. Testimonialist was compensated for their time.
Our state's future begins with our students. That's why the North Carolina Education Lottery has contributed over $10 billion to education. Through scholarships, school construction, support staff, and pre-K programs, lottery dollars move our state forward, helping students become the best versions of themselves. Visit movingncstudentsforward.com and share how your student or school community has benefited for a chance to earn $2,000 for your story. Must be 18 to play. Problem Gambling Helpline 877-718-5543.
Dear McDonald's, your breakfast menu? Fire. 10s across the board. I could be happy with anything, even though I order the same thing every time. Thanks for not judging me. I'll try something new next time. Maybe.
Get your faves for less. Buy a sausage McMuffin with egg for $2.50. Add any size Sprite for $1.49. Price of participation may vary. Cannot be combined with any other offer or combo meal.
Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
WakeMed Brain and Spine wants to stop strokes in their tracks. If you think someone is having a stroke, use the acronym B-FAST and assess these functions. B, balance. Do they have trouble walking? E, eyes. Are they having trouble seeing? F, face. Does their smile droop? A, arms. Ask the person to raise their arms and notice if one drifts down. S, speech. Is it slurred? And T, time. It is important. Call 911 and get to the hospital as quickly as you can. To check your stroke risk assessment, visit wakemed.org.
As the Canes will keep it in deep. Florida looking to get it out. Forsling bounce it. Now it comes out in front. Holding shoot. He scores! Seth Jarvis with the turnover. And Carolina has tied it at 3.
Oh, the good old days when the Canes were still playing. Instead, it's the off season. But we are just 51 days until training camp for the Carolina Hurricanes. Does that help? Maybe a little. And in the meantime, we can hold our competition selves over with a little bit of the ladder challenge, which is what we have up next here on The Drive with Tim Donnelly on 99.9 The Fan. And for those of you that didn't tune in yesterday, first of all, where were you? Get here next time. Second of all, we've changed the ladder challenge a bit. The sporting options are getting a little bit more sparse over the next couple of months. So for a couple of months, we're changing the ladder challenge from it has to be minus 500 to minus 1,000 to It can be whatever bet you want. The odds are not restricted, but you have to roll over 100% of your winnings every single day, stake and winnings, and it still is whoever makes it to whoever at the end of the month has the most money is the winner, and if you lose, you go back to $10. So, Dennis, how did you do yesterday? We both had roughly minus 500 bets. Did yours hit?
Yeah, it did. I had Wake Forest plus 8 runs against Tennessee yesterday. They lost by 6, so that's perfectly fine by me.
Yeah, close. Actually, I need to check mine. Mine was going on. So you go ahead and make your so you should have like 11 something.
1178 is what I have.
Go ahead and make your bet.
So I'm going to make my bet today. Paul Skeens, Pittsburgh Pirates pitcher. Say that 10 times fast. Paul Skeens taking on the Houston Astros today. Give me Paul Skeens to throw 6+ strikeouts today. 6+ strikeouts thrown is a minus 110 for Paul Skeens today for the Pirates. So my 1178 will turn into $22.48 by the end of the night.
My bet did hit as well. It would start at 2:15. It's already over. I had Carlos Alcaraz to destroy Tommy Paul. I needed Tommy Paul to win no more than 1 set.
Okay.
It was 3 sets.
The French Open?
Actually, it's only 3 sets, so it's still going on. No, it's best of 5, right? That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it was 6-0, 6-1, 6-4. Alcaraz won. So bet hits. I could have just brought up never mind. Should have just brought up the Sportsbook app. I went and checked the score. Either way, got $12 now to bet. You're not going to believe this. What were your odds on 6+ strikeouts?
Minus 110.
That's funny. Earlier today, I bet Pirates Paul Skeens. 7 or more strikeouts.
Oh, okay.
Versus the Astros, I got it for plus 135.
Okay.
So
I just need him to throw exactly 6.
You need him to throw 6 and no more.
No more.
Or else we're either both going back to Zippy or we're both rolling it a little bit more.
That's good to know. If I don't win, neither do you.
Correct. And if you thread that needle, you deserve to take whatever lead you have going into June 4th. I think Skeens strikeouts is kind of the baseball version of like Steph Curry threes, where it is just like you don't want to be betting against that. You don't want to see Skeens on a heater and he struck out the side in the second, and you don't want to be bummed about that because you bet the under on strikeouts. You just want to be like, yeah, let's go, ride the wave. That's kind of Steph Curry, right? You don't want to get the text from your buddy like Steph Curry hit 3 threes from the logo, and you got to go, oh, darn it. No, you want to be riding the wave. Skeens is kind of that way. Also, I saw somebody setting the over-under at next season for when the Pirates trade Paul Skeens. So, Pirates fans, if you're out there, if you exist, first of all, change. Why? Pick a new team. No one's going to fault you. Second of all, enjoy Paul Skeens while you have him. And O'Neal Cruz. There you go. That's a ladder challenge. We'll see how it plays out. We'll see how it goes for tomorrow. In the meantime, with the ladder challenge donezo here on The Drive with Tim Donnelly on 99.9 The Fan, let's roll to a little cop or drop.
You want true enlightenment? Well, I'm dropping.
All right, the question that everyone wants to know.
Everybody.
All Canes fans want to know.
No, everybody does.
Yeah, everyone does want to know this. Jesperi Kotkaniemi will get traded this offseason. Cop or drop?
I'm copping. And you know what? I'm not copping in an insult to Kotkaniemi. I'm copping in a compliment to Kotkaniemi. I think the market, I'm not saying it's going to be robust. I think it's going to be stronger than people think. I'm seeing some fans assuming that to remove Kotkaniemi from the team, you're going to have to package a pick. You're gonna have to give them a sweetener. You're gonna have to eat some of the salary against the cap. You're gonna I don't think so. I'm not saying you're gonna get back 2 firsts, but I think his skill set, meaning size, speed, somebody is gonna think they can fix Kotkaniemi. Right? Somebody, Josh Rosen got like 5 teams to put him on the roster. Right? If you've shown talent somewhere, you get a lot of chances. They'll be, he just needs to change his scenery. He needs to get out of that system. He needs to get somewhere where he can get consistent power play minutes. Like there's going to be that somewhere, and I think you at the very least won't have to take anything trashy back, or you won't have to eat a ton of the salary. I think there's a trade market and you can make it work, and I think it's just probably time for, two to go their separate ways.
All right, next one up here on Cop or Drop. Andrei Svechnikov gets traded this offseason. Cop or Drop?
I'm dropping it as a prediction.
Okay.
I've had this conversation a lot, and I don't like it because I like Svech, and I do. There's a part of me, I just can't quit Svech. Those, the 2 shifts every 3 games where he goes full like bull in a china shop and scores, and I'm just like, oh, Svech, my guy. The reason why I do think that a trade is a possibility, although obviously with me dropping it, not a likelihood, is because of the postseason he had. It's almost like he had too good of a goal-scoring postseason and I do think Eric Tulsky is truly a GM that answers the phone no matter what. Like, even if it's an absolute no-go, even if they're calling about like, hey, we're interested in packaging Sebastian Aho and Jordan Staal. Like, even if it's that, he's going to go like, well, what were you offering? Not because he thinks he's ever going to trade those guys, but because he wants to hear everything, right? Okay, so you're willing to part with those guys. Now, we're not parting with Aho or Staal, but now that I know you're not married to that guy, let me see if I can put something else. I think he's a guy that seriously answers every call. So if somebody calls about Svech and offers, hey, we need a big-time playoff goal scorer style offer because Svech is off, whatever, he had 8 or 9 goals in the postseason. I don't know if the value calculator won't sway on the side of accept that trade. And don't forget, like, particularly the third of the season, there was some Svech not great stretches. And if you see an off-ramp, like, oh, he played well enough in the postseason that we can get a big return, he can be most of the package we put together to get a superstar back, I think you got to entertain that. So I think it's a possibility. I don't think it's a likelihood. I still think he's part of the core. I just think Eric Tulsky's kind of that way where he will potentially move on from someone in the core.
So Svechnikov has 4 years left on his contract.
It's pretty reasonable.
Making $7.75 million. So if a team's making a move for him, it's like, okay, this guy's 25 years old, former second overall pick. I'm going to get him up until the age of 29.
Just scored 8 goals in the postseason.
This might be the time to sell high.
That's what I mean. I don't know if the price will ever be higher than it is right now. So if your plan is to make him a Cane for life, if you see him in his 30s still rocking the Canes, then obviously you're not trading him. But if you think there might be a point before his contract is up that we want to shop him, you have to consider now, because I just don't know if you'll get the return this high ever again.
He does have a modified no-trade clause where he can submit 10 teams as his no-trade list. Or 10-team approved trade list, I should say. Like, I can only go to these teams.
That makes it tougher. It does. That makes it tougher. Not impossible, but tougher. I still think it's unlikely. Again, I dropped it. But there's a possibility there.
All right, next one. Cop or drop. Pyotr Kochetkov gets traded this offseason.
Drop. They've already locked in Freddie. I mean, Pyotr is dirt cheap. Which is important for goalies. And the Canes, like, how many, I don't know if it's consecutive, a high percentage of their last, 10 years, they played 5 goalies in a season. I'm not saying they don't bring in competition, particularly for that kind of second goalie spot. I don't see them making a huge move for a star 1 goalie, just because I don't think the market is there necessarily. Like, if there were one kind of available that made sense, I've seen the fan trades where you get Gibson or you get Twayman or you
Jeremy Swayman.
Swayman. I think I may have done that earlier. Swayman. I've seen the fan fiction where you make those trades. I just don't know if you're going to make the big swing, it's going to be for one of those guys. I think it'd probably be for a forward. So I think if you're bringing in competition, he's just there is a place in every pitching rotation for an innings eater. Like, just somebody who can go out there and give you 50 starts of solid hockey. Will there be ups and downs? Sure. Or do you want him pitching Game 7, when the other team's rolling out Randy Johnson? No. But somebody's got to pitch the entire month of July, like the entire month of August. There is a spot for an innings eater, and I think Piotr, at his worst, is that. Somebody that you just know you can put in there and trust.
Okay. Next one, cop or drop. We're actually going to shift focus over here to the Carolina Panthers. Cop or drop. The Panthers will make an offseason trade before week 1. Cop or drop.
Dropping. And actually, I'm not sure if that would have been the answer before I watched their recent edition of Panthers Blueprint. They seemed very intentional. They seemed... They knew what they wanted and they went to get it, particularly in the second and third round with Nick Scorton and Princely Umanmielen. I was so close. Princely Umanmielen. It seems like they got what they wanted to get. And they weren't left scrambling. They weren't left, you know what it looks like when somebody walks out of the grocery store and they didn't get what they wanted. Even when the checker outer person is like, did you find everything you were looking for okay? You say yes, but if the answer is no, we know, right? Yeah, no, I got everything. Like, it wasn't that. They were like, yeah, absolutely. It was all right in the aisles where I guessed first. Like the Panthers had a successful offseason, I believe, from their perspective. I think they can make some trades maybe closer to the deadline, right? If you got to shift, your priorities changes, roles change. But no, I think they're good going into the season.
The reason why I bring that up is because another Panthers OTA today. Tommy Trumbull, as we heard last week, had a back surgery. Dave Canales said that they anticipate him being back by the end of the preseason. So right now you have Jatavian Sanders and Mitchell Evans, two guys drafted in the last couple of years at tight end. It's kind of thin after that. So I don't know if they make a move for there or corner. They're super thin at corner. Yep. They might have a surplus of another position, like interior offensive line, that they could potentially move somebody.
I think you can find a serviceable tight end, particularly because Jatavian Sanders and Mitchell Evans is a better athlete than you think. I think they can take care of some of the stuff you need spice for, like the pass catching and everything. I think you can find a serviceable blocking tight end, just free agency. I don't think you'd have to go make a trade. Corner would be interesting, but that's kind of why I'm saying they felt like they knew what they wanted. They went to get it. They didn't seem thirsty for a corner. Like, if in the second or third round they were hoping a corner fell and it just didn't happen, so they took an edge rusher, then I'd go, okay, no, they obviously see a need there. Right? They didn't have to give Michael Jackson 2 years, whatever it was, $14 million. I think they have their corners on the roster. I don't necessarily maybe agree, but I think it's what they think. And what they think is what they're going to act off of. They're not going to go, I was listening to that radio show. He doesn't like our depth at corner, so let's call up the Chargers and see if they got one to spare. Like, it's really, you got to predict put yourself in their shoes, and I think they like their squad right now. Which, by the way, I'm actually made fun of. I'm in a Dynasty Fantasy League, nerdy stuff. You keep your players year over year. Only draft rookies. Rookie draft this week. Last offseason, I was the only guy in the entire league, didn't make a single offseason trade. And apparently I told too many of them that I liked my team. No, I liked my team. I like my team. No, I don't need to do that. I like my team. And then I had a horrendous season and did not do well. And now every time I'm trying to make a trade, everybody just roasts me for saying I like my team. But I do think the Panthers are in that spot where it's like, they'll listen, but no, actually I like my team. I think we're good. I don't need to make a change. I like my roster. Maybe
I feel great about playing football right now.
I was that. I was so Dave Canales. And then during the season, I ended up being a lot of like Frank Reich. It was not the way you're hoping for. But it's when you like your team, you don't make moves. And I got the vibe that they like their squad.
All right, next one here. Cop or drop. Tetairoa McMillan will lead the Panthers in receiving yards. Cop or drop?
Top. What did the leader have last year? Like 600?
Yeah, wasn't much.
Granted, they had like 5 guys with 600, between 5 and 600, whatever it was, between 470 and 585. No, McMillan he'll beat that with volume. Like, you don't draft a guy 8th overall to not throw in the ball. He will beat that. He doesn't need a high yards per target to beat that. Obviously, if it's, it's a long shot, but if Adam Thielen stays healthy for an entire season, he can put up a decent number. He can put up 800-900 yards. But to expect the oldest wide receiver in the NFL by 2 years to be healthy the entire year, it's probably not good odds.
Thielen played 10 games last year, had 615 yards. Legette had 497, Coker 478, and Deontay Johnson 4th on the team with 357.
Okay, so you had 3 guys between 470 and 615, basically. Yes, I think Tedero McMillan will have more than that. I think that is conservative. And maybe Legette could challenge him, but that had to be a heck of a step up for him. Jalen Coker did practice today. I don't know if you saw that.
I did.
Which is big news because he was out or off to the side for whatever reason at previous offseason deals. I don't see him going for 800 yards. I think McMillan realistic expectation is like 800 or 900 yards, 6 touchdowns, something like that.
So you're talking about no Panthers are going to have 1,000 yards receiving this year.
Not the way they want to run their offense, and not with that many. I think Thielen, when he's healthy, is going to get targets. I think Xavier Legette is good for 4 or 5. I think McMillan is going to do a lot of his work over the middle, and he's a rookie. And I think Chuba. There's not a lot of perennial 1,000-yard receivers on this roster. I think McMillan could go for more, but I just think a nice 875 and 6 touchdowns. It's a good year for him. It's a good year for him in this offense. And now, if he were drafted to the Dolphins or something, yeah, I'd put him at 1,100 and probably. Actually, I don't know. I was going to say probably lose more games, but maybe not. Dolphins are a weird team to predict. The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 99.9 The Fan. I'll tell you what's not weird to predict or tough to predict. The dependability of Mainer Service Company. Tim Donnelly here for Mainer Service Company. Here's my prediction. You call them, they'll come out and fix your problem. That's my prediction. They have 24/7 service across the triangle. Heating, cooling, plumbing, electric. I guess there's graduations going on a bunch, which means people in from out of town. How miserable would it be to have your big graduation party set up, and it's 100 degrees outside, and you got everybody inside, and your air conditioner craps out? That wouldn't be great, would it? So instead, what I need you to do is go ahead and call up Mainer Service Company for some cooling maintenance. Check out your cooling system. Have them look at it. Give yourself the best chance to avoid that scenario where everybody's looking at you going, whoo, a little hot, right? The number to call to set up that cooling maintenance, but also you want it on hand for 24/7 service, right? 24/7 means if something breaks in the middle of the night, if you're hearing dripping and you're like, I didn't think I left the sink on. Turns out it's coming in your wall. If that's happening in the middle of the night, boom, cooling maintenance, heating, cooling, electric, plumbing. You just need to remember this number, 919-361-0993. Give them a call, 919-361-0993, or visit them online at MainerServices.com. Once again, that is MainerServices.com. When we come back here on The Drive, we have a feedback frenzy. We get to hear from some of you from all over the interweb. Stick around.
Are you ready for the ultimate entertainment experience? It's all here, only with Spectrum TV Select. Popular apps are included: Disney Plus, Max, Peacock Premium, Paramount Plus, AMC Plus, and more. And live TV for sports, entertainment, and news. Enjoy across your devices no matter when or where you are. Get Spectrum TV Select and start streaming your favorites today. It's all here. Visit spectrum.com/entertainment. Restrictions apply.
A pepperoni pizza for the table. May I suggest trying it with our Pepsi Zero Sugar? It has just the right amount of sweetness to complement all that cheesy, saucy goodness. Simply divine.
Pepsi Zero Sugar? You've really outdone yourself this time. Pizza deserves Pepsi.
Handy Hugo's has a refreshing deal. 2 1-liter Pepsis for just $3. Quench your thirst at Handy Hugo's today.
You think rush hour karting is just about racing? Think again. At our Morrisville and Garner locations, you're stepping into a world of high-speed go-karts, axe throwing, golf and racing simulators, arcade challenges, and a full-service kitchen serving up serious flavor. It's where corporate events turn into bonding moments and friend nights turn legendary. This isn't just entertainment, it's serious adult fun. Visit rhkfun.com to plan your experience today.
Progressive has great customer service, and it's easy to reach us because great and easy is the way to be. Like salads. Great for you, and so easy you can put any group of veggies in a bowl and it's a salad. A full carrot with a head of cabbage? Weird, but still a salad. 1 radish and a couple of green beans? Also a salad. 14 blueberries, half an onion, and a sunchoke? Odd, yes, but an odd salad. So contact Progressive's customer service by phone, app, or online. It's great and easy, just like salad. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates.
Summer sizzles with free outdoor concerts at the original Abbey Road Tavern and Grill in Cary. Every Saturday night through July, come to Abbey Road on West Chatham Street from 8 to 11 p.m., rain or shine, for live music and Saturday drink specials, including $3 Coors Light and $6 Dogfish Grateful Dead ales. The Saturday night concerts will feature some of your favorite local bands, all part of Abbey Road's 5th annual Outdoor Summer Concert Series. Get all the details on who's playing when at abbeyroadnc.com.
Are your monthly bills keeping you up at night, wondering how you got so behind? Hey, I'm Roger Moore, CEO of Loan Pronto. I get it. Life is expensive now. Insurance, groceries, cars. And then there's the credit card debt with those obscene interest rates. It's time to regain your financial freedom. And that's what we offer at Loan Pronto, using the power of the equity in your home. We have multiple ways to get you the cash you need, and most clients close in 2 weeks or less, and many don't even require an appraisal. And listen, rates have been plummeting recently. We just locked a homeowner in with an APR in the low 5s, saving her over $1,000 per month, and put $10,000 in her pocket. Life-changing money. Whether you're drowning in debt, have a nosebleed rate you got last year, need home improvements, or simply need cash in your pocket, we can help you accomplish this goal in record time. Call us today and get started with no hard credit pull, just a conversation. LoanPronto.com, 919-381-1760. LoanPronto.com. That's LoanPronto.com.
Equal Housing Lender, NMLS 1661781, subject to lender approval, NMLSConsumerAccess.org.
This is Joe Cordell of Cordell & Cordell. Cordell & Cordell is the largest family law firm in the country, with over 35 years of helping clients navigate divorce. That does give us certain advantages, for example, in experience and resources. But being big doesn't mean less personal or less local. Our attorneys live and work in your community, and as neighbors, they understand the challenges your families face. If you're a guy facing divorce, remember, Cordell & Cordell, a partner you can count on.
Joseph Cordell, licensed in Missouri and Illinois. CordellCordell.com.
To Withers on the left sideline, hands off to R.J. Davis, back to Cadeau. He's going to get into the lob action with Vinal and Lubin, who hammers it home.
The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 99.9 The Fan. It is time for a feedback frenzy. This is where Dennis goes across the interwebs, YouTube comments, social medias of all kind, 99.9 The Fan. Search and follow him everywhere. And he looks for reactions to conversations we've had, debates, arguments we've had. And he brings the best points to the air and we respond. Dennis, what are we working with?
So I just played that Van Allen Lubin highlight.
Ah.
So there was a lot of conversation online regarding Van Allen Lubin transferring from UNC to NC State for men's basketball. So it's interesting. This actually comes from Tar Heel Fanatic 8213 on YouTube. Lubin is a good player, but he has bricks for hands. He is not worth more money at UNC.
See. And maybe this commenter has it. Okay, so I don't know this commenter personally. If you weren't saying that, if you're a UNC fan and you weren't saying that when he played for UNC, I don't know if I can believe you now that you're saying it when he plays for NC State. Right? It's one of those deals where, I mean, he caught a decent amount, at least of like alley-oops, and he caught some tough post-entry passes in the ACC tournament when he was scoring 20 burgers for you, Tar Heel fans. Now that he's committed to go play for NC State, he's got bricks for hands. Van Allen Lubin, I mean, he's not, and actually this is why he should chase the money if that's what he did. He's not a first-round pick, right? He's not somebody that's going to go and have a spot in the NBA waiting for him. But he is a good college player. He is that. And if he was offered more money somewhere else, because he's not an NBA reserved player, it's like, all right, as soon as you're done here, we're going to move you on up to an NBA city. Because he's not that, he should chase the money. So, yeah, I have a hard time being mad at the guy.
But, of course, there's always going to be the clap back from State fans to UNC fans. Because, for example, Alvis said this. I would say with the hire of a good coach at NC State that North Carolina is the 5th best team in the state.
5th?
Yeah, 5th best team in the state.
Did they list them? I feel like if you say 5th, you got to name the top 4.
I know, you have to list them. I'm assuming Duke, State, Wake, throwing UNC Wilmington.
I was going to say, is it UNC Dub?
I mean, who's...
Are we high on Andershek taking over the Campbell Camels?
Maybe.
I don't know.
Davidson? The shout-outs to the Wildcats?
Davidson? I mean, we could just name all the mid-majors.
Right? UNCG?
To me, that's intentional. Saying 5th is so much more insulting than saying 4th. 4th is like, all right, you're behind a bunch of ACC schools. 5th, we're going like, I don't know, is Greensboro good this year? That's a tough look. Good fanning, though, because, you made Tar Heel fans count. That's not bad. What else we got?
So, yeah, it was a lot of discourse. I mean, there's about nearly 100 comments just on that video alone.
I mean, it should be, by the way. Like, Van Allen Lubin knew what he was doing. He knew as soon as I make this commitment, the world's going to get a little crazy real quick. And that's why I think NC State and UNC should play home and away every single year. So then Van Allen Lubin would have to pay for his rivalry transgressions and go to the Dean Dome, but instead he doesn't have to do that.
All right, so yesterday you had a conversation about how the Carolina Panthers, switching things over to football, have put a lot of draft capital in recent years into the wide receiver position, with Jonathan Mingo being drafted 38th overall back in 2023. Last year in 2024, Xavier Legette, the 32nd overall pick. And then this year, Teteroa McMillan being the 8th overall pick. Have they actually figured out the position? This one comes from Stephen Baker. Stephen says, I don't think Xavier Legette was ever drafted as a number 1, and it's not a bad strategy to throw high draft capital at the position due to the free agent market value of the position. I'm assuming he's talking about how much money it costs. Mingo was a bust for sure, but Legette is kind of a hybrid Deebo Samuel, fingers crossed.
Yeah, fingers crossed in a big way, because I don't remember seeing any Xavier Legette like out of the backfield stuff, even in the plan. So I do think if you just see any receiver who's a little bit strong, like if they're a little bit more bulky, you just go, oh, that's got to be a Deebo Samuel type. There's a reason why there aren't many Deebo Samuel types. It's tough to do. I get the logic of, like, for the price of one Brandon Ayuk, you can have Legette and Teteroa McMillan at high draft capital. But there's also the opportunity cost of not using that draft capital on any other position. Listen, first-round picks, they're high risk, high reward. You need to hit on them. Whatever position you pick, if they don't end up contributors, you're getting passed. So, yeah, Xavier Legette, if he's a high-end wide receiver 2, that's a hit.
That's awesome.
If McMillan's a high-end wide receiver 1, beautiful. 2 great picks in back-to-back years in the first round. It's when guys start becoming non-contributors that you start to have other teams pass you.
All right, this one comes from Xavier Williams, also on that same video. You and I kind of discussed what would a win total this year that could excite Panthers fans. Yep. He said a 9-win season, he agrees with us, a 9-win season will be a huge for the team. We're coming off, being the Panthers, coming off 2 wins and 5 wins. And before Bryce Young, we had 3 years of 5 wins max. 9 wins would be celebrated.
Yes. 8 or 9 wins this year, to me, is like, it's an aspiration. I don't think that's a floor by any case. I don't think it's a ceiling, but I think that right there is what you should be gunning for as a fan. And be excited about that. they're like, hopefully, I hope 4 years from now they can win 8 games and I can be furious. I wish if they won 8 games, I could come on here the day after the season ends and throw things. But that ain't this year. That ain't this year. And like similarly, Rod Brindamore, right, for Carolina Hurricanes, their head coach, had his exit press conference earlier today. And he basically said, yeah, we've raised the bar so high that losing in the Eastern Conference Finals is a disappointment. And then he said, I think that's pretty good. Like, I hope we get to the point where it makes sense for Panthers fans to be disappointed in a 9-win season. We aren't anywhere close to there. You win 8 games this year, you start talking to Canales about an extension. Like, it's that kind of a season.
All right, this actually comes from our YouTube live chat. Speaking of the Carolina Hurricanes, Aaron Smith wants to know, who do you see the Canes front office going after this offseason? Mitch Marner from the Toronto Maple Leafs, Sam Bennett from the Florida Panthers, maybe even both?
I think those will be fully explored.
As if Mitch Marner even hits free agency.
I think the smart money is always...
I'm sorry, Sam Bennett. Mitch Marner's definitely in free agent.
I think we knew what you meant. The smart money's always on the field. Like, the options are literally limitless. And you may say, not everyone's available. Up until they traded for Mikko Rantanen, I didn't think Mikko Rantanen was available. So, like, if you ask me, will it be this guy or this guy? My answer is probably not. That's not to say they're any less likely than any of the other couple dozen high-end free agents, and Sam Bennett obviously not, but we'll see. There is a specific skill set that I think Marner possesses, and there is a specific attitude that I think Sam Bennett possesses that will be high on the Canes shopping list, both of them. They're not the only two that possess it, and there are other parts of their games that I'm not sure would fit as well. So my official answer is probably not those two, but I think you're on the right track. I think you're on the right track as far as what you're looking for. I think if I could just describe the two biggest acquisitions the Canes will make, one would be a highly skilled, highly productive forward that's, kind of Mitch Marner-ish, but maybe with a little bit more bite. And then I do think they need a Sam Bennett as just somebody that's going to be the sandpaper, somebody that's going to mush faces, somebody that's going to play to the echo of the whistle and is going to protect Aho and all of those things. So you're on the right track, but it's always smart to take the others just because it's like those two guys against the world. I'm taking the world, but they're as good as any. The Marner stuff I'm having a hard time with because I think it might be one of those on paper, the skill set and the production lines up, but there's just something about the person that doesn't feel Canesy. Like we talk about when people say, oh, that guy's a Hurricane. I don't know if that's ever been said about Mitch Marner, right? Like, oh, you know where he'd fit in? Carolina. Like, I just don't know if that's it. And I kind of want to pass for that reason, but then you feel dumb because you're passing on a guy that's super productive. What is he, 26, 27 years old?
He's 28.
Okay, 28 years old. Like, you feel foolish passing on a guy in his prime with that way, but am I wrong? Am I missing? Like, he doesn't feel Canesy. And that's not even a word, but you get it?
No, I 100% get it because one thing that you're paying for with Mitch Marner oftentimes is the regular season production. The question is, where's the postseason production?
And part of me...
It's a big-time question.
Yeah, and obviously Toronto as a whole, that's a question.
Well, yeah.
I don't know. Do you know what I would love just personally, like selfishly? I would love to see what Rod Brindamore could turn Mitch Marner into.
True.
But if I'm the GM, I'm not sure I'm doing that just for scientific experiment purposes. Like, this isn't the 6th grade science fair. Like, I'm not just doing it because I want to see how this would go. But it's, yeah, probably not those two, but I like where your head's at is my official answer. And that'll do it for a little feedback frenzy here on The Drive with Tim Donnelly on 99.9 The Fan. We have the starting 5 coming out, and we start looking. I mean, it's as bummed as I am that the Canes season did come to an end, I mean, we're looking towards college football in the starting five. Football season is almost here. Stick around.
It's Men's Health Month, and WakeMed wants to remind you to exercise. Be physically active for at least 3 hours per week. That's about 30 minutes of exercise per day. And exercise doesn't have to be boring. Walking the dog, playing basketball, riding your bike, or even an impromptu dance party count as physical activity. Oh, and don't forget to include stretching and strength training. Get up, get moving, and while you're at it, schedule a WakeMed primary care appointment at wakemed.org to get started on your journey to a happier and healthier version of you.
It's the first day of the first grade, and she found a new best friend. It's a laid-back Sunday afternoon you wish would never end.
The homemade taste of Bluebell and good friends gathered round. The good old days are being made right now.
Bluebell Groom's Cake Ice Cream is renewing its vows on the frozen aisle. Milk chocolate ice cream with chocolate cake pieces, chocolate-coated strawberry hearts, swirls of strawberry sauce, and chocolate icing. See you at the reception.
The good old days are being made right now.
The good old days are being made right now.
Look for Bluebell ice cream, now available at Wegmans.
Let's move! We have soccer practice, dance, and a play date.
Life moves fast, so every second counts, especially when it comes to big decisions like buying a car. That's why searching through Navy Federal's car buying service powered by TrueCar is a perfect place to start.
Thanks, Mom!
Navy Federal can help you find and finance the right vehicle so you can go wherever life takes you. Visit NavyFederal.org/TrueCar to learn more. Navy Federal Credit Union. Our members are the mission. Navy Federal is insured by NCUA. Credit and collateral subject to approval.
Breaking news, and this one is almost unbelievable.
Yeah, it's all about new customers at Bet365 because they get $150 in bonus bets when they bet $5, win or lose. And even better, bonus bets can be used on the spread, totals, and player props.
There you have it. Bet $5 to get $150 in bonus bets, win or lose. And see why. It's never ordinary at Bet365. 21 plus only. Must be physically located in North Carolina. Gambling problem? Call 1-877-718-5543 or visit morethanagame.nc.gov. T&Cs apply. Available in app only.
Adam Gold in studio with my friend Patrick Day from the Aluminum Company of North Carolina. A lot of people have work to do on their homes. They need a roof. They want windows, siding. You guys do everything. But people are also, I'm not sure I can afford it. The Aluminum Company is a great place to go. Tell us why.
Well, tons of times I'll go out to people's houses and they're thinking about doing a bunch of home improvements at once. Siding, roofing, windows are a big package, right? And the first thing they think of is, well, I'm going to need to go get an equity line or a second mortgage. One of the things we have is tons of financing options where you don't even need to go to your bank. We can do that in-house for you and run payment options for you. And lots of times the financing that we offer is a better percentage rating than you can get from your bank, and you don't have to go through all that mess to get to it.
I like that. Also, is there 12 months, zero interest?
12 months, zero interest, zero payments for 12 months.
Zero payments and zero interest at the same time for 12 months.
That is correct.
That is a double header right there. Aluminum Company of North Carolina, online, aluminumcompany.com.
This is the story of the one. As a lineman, he does whatever it takes to keep the power on in his community. And he wants a partner like Grainger who does the same. Grainger offers the professional-grade products he needs, from voltage detectors to harnesses to hard hats, plus fast, dependable delivery, so he can rise to every challenge. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
I'm attorney Brian Ritchie. Big truck accidents can cause life-changing injuries, and life-changing injuries deserve life-changing money. I know big truck wrecks, and I know how to fight those big insurance companies. If you've been hurt by a big truck, contact us at ritchielaw.com. I'm on top of it.
Broadcasting live from the Lenovo Studios. WCMC HD1 Holly Springs. 99.9 The Fan. The Triangle Sports Leader.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm WRAL meteorologist Mike Mays. Temperatures are on the rise, and rain chances are as well. It's quiet tonight, mostly clear 60. Quiet tomorrow, partly cloudy 88. But tropical moisture is coming up from Florida. Now rain is likely Thursday, the high 79.
Weather update brought to you by Newcomb and Company, where your comfort is their business. Visit newcombandcompany.com. 5 o'clock check of your money. Dow Jones up 214 points to 42,519 at the closing bell. Weather update brought to you by Lionsgate. Lionsgate's ballerina follows Anna de Armas as Eve Macaro, a young assassin trained by the Ruska Roma. Set between the events of John Wick Chapter 3 Parabellum and Chapter 4 with a hauntingly elegant edge. In theaters this Friday, June 6th.
It's 5 o'clock. Time to serve up the biggest sports stories of the day. Here comes your starting five.
The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 99.9 The Fan. We will get to the starting five, and we will look towards college football. But first, in a college football stadium, we have an option for you. Text keyword BALL, B-A-L-L, to 919-860-5326 for your chance to win a 4-pack of tickets to see Mexico National play Turkey National. We're talking, is this international soccer?
That is correct,
or
yes.
Should I say football?
Yeah, international.
Mexico National against Turkey at Kenan Stadium. This is next Tuesday, June 10th, so a week from today. At Kenan, you can win a 4-pack of tickets. You get to bring 3 friends. How about that?
That's pretty cool.
That is. Have you ever seen a international soccer game?
International soccer game? Yeah, I've seen U.S. men's national team play before. I saw them play, I think it was Panama or Cuba. They won like 6-1 in a friendly.
I saw it probably 25, 30 years ago. I saw the Team USA play. It is cool.
Yeah. I saw them play at old RFK Stadium in D.C.
It's a different kind of fandom. It's cool. So, again, if you want to go, if you want to win the 4-pack of tickets, all you have to do is text keyword BALL, B-A-L-L, to 919-860-5326 for your chance to win a 4-pack, I should say, of tickets to see Mexico National, Turkey National, Kenan Stadium next Tuesday. Now let's jump into the starting five, starting with number 5.
Count them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Carolina will hand to Hampton. Leaps over the pile. Is hit at the 4. Let's go. His way in for the touchdown. Hampton was met midair and would not be stopped.
That's a touchdown from Omarion Hampton that defies physics. When you don't have your feet on the ground, you should not be able to push someone over. You have nothing to push off of. But that's exactly what he did. By the way, I'll give any of my fantasy football team league mates in the area that are listening a little heads up. The draft on Thursday, I'm walking away with Omarion Hampton. You darn right I am. And I have some top picks, so there's nothing you can do about it. Number 5 actually is, though. ESPN put out their FPI, their Football Power Index, predicting the most likely national champions this upcoming year. Dennis, what stands out to you?
So, of course, a lot of SEC teams, which, makes sense. Seeing Texas up there, seeing Georgia up there. Texas, actually, believe it or not, has the best odds to win, or the best chances, I guess you can say, according to the Football Power Index.
I wonder if the Football Power Index has like an extra category for, is your last name Manning? Then get 1,000 extra points.
So they have him at an 83.9% chance of making the playoff.
Okay.
And a 22.2% chance of winning the college football playoff.
All right.
Georgia second place in both of those categories, followed by Ohio State, and then followed by Alabama, because you're Alabama. That's just kind of the way things work.
It's very similar. If is your name Alabama, 1,000 extra points.
Couple ACC teams in the top 8 of the Football Power Index. Clemson coming in at number 7. Their chance to make the playoff at 47.3%. That's 7th best odds. Chance of winning the whole darn thing at 3.8%. Followed right behind that, Miami, 46.3%, and to chance to make the playoffs and a 3.2% chance of actually winning the whole thing.
I'm predicting, despite that no football will be played between now and the season, the Clemson hype will get more aggressive. Every time somebody puts out a NFL draft board for the upcoming season, there's going to be a bunch of Clemson guys in the first round.
Mm-hmm.
I think Cade Klubnik, whether at the end of the season or not, I think at the beginning of the season he is going to be one of the apples of the eye of everyone that goes, Arch Manning's just on name. Klubnik's the better. Like, there's going to be a lot of hype around Clemson. And I hate to say it, but the ACC needs them to live up to it. Like, you need 3-4 teams in the CFP every year, 4 hopefully, and Clemson's got to be one of them just because they're Clemson. So that's going to happen. I guess you don't get 1,000 extra points for having your last name Belichick. Manning, 1,000 extra points. Bama, 1,000 extra points. Belichick, nothing.
Nothing. Not even here in the top 20. 3 ACC schools, like I mentioned, Clemson number 7, Miami number 8, SMU number 18 on the list. Chance to make the playoffs, 21.3%. Chance to win the whole thing, just 0.6. But hey, as long as you make it.
They caught a little lightning in a bottle last year. I want to see what that offense looks like without Brashard Smith, because he was a surprise workhorse at running back for them. Big playmaker. He was a wide receiver at Miami that transferred to SMU. He's what was he, a 7th-round pick?
Yeah, by Kansas City.
Interesting. That one is I want to see what that offense is like without him, because he brought a little bit of the sizzle. That's number 5. Let's hit number 4.
1, 2, 3, 4 all together.
Interesting. You went with that sound for the soccer tournament.
Yeah, one of the football hit for talking football.
I get it.
Nah.
It's like a slide tackle. It's a tackle.
See, there it is.
The soccer tournament starts tomorrow.
Yeah, the TST.
Right here in our backyard. This is, remind me, I think it's $1 million for each side, right? Men's and women's, $1 million, something like that. Give us the details and give us some of the big, this is like I don't even know how to describe it. It's like a super famous pickup soccer teams arrive. It's not really pickup because some of the teams are like from legit teams. It's hard to describe, but it's a cool event that comes here and it really promotes soccer in the area.
So it's a 7v7 tournament. So it's not the traditional, our starting 11 and all that kind of stuff. So it's 7v7. So smaller fields, faster games. They're using an aggregate scoring system. So basically, after this certain amount of time, it's like the next goal total win. So there's some different rules and everything that goes with it. So every game ends with a goal scored. That's how the game ends. Not just a team just playing keep away until the clock runs out. Every game ends with a goal scored. But you're seeing like Clint Dempsey, speaking of U.S. men's national team, he has a group that's here. Former U.S. women's national team goaltender Hope Solo. She has a team here. You see some different celebrities.
On-field legend.
Yeah. Absolutely. Like Pat McAfee is playing on a team. He's going to be doing a show at Cary at Wake Med Soccer Park both tomorrow and Thursday, so he's going to be here. Sheamus from WWE, the professional wrestlers, also in town. Actually,
is he playing?
Yeah, he's playing for like Dortmund. And also you see some of these club teams are sending in some of their academy players to participate in it, just a chance for them to keep playing. Stanford has like an alum group that's coming as well. So again, a lot of legit players from various different timelines and athletes coming from other places. We saw J.J. Watt playing in this thing last year as well. They've also expanded the women's tournament, but it's winner takes all. $1 million, winner take all, both men's and women.
I think there's more room in the sports world for events like this. Things that are, I don't want to say not as competitive, but as much about entertainment as competition.
Oh, yeah.
But then you put $1 million on it, and it's like, oh, no, we're not playing around. Like, this ain't all for giggles. You're seeing it, obviously, the basketball tournament, the soccer, TST, TBT, they're like, siblings. But have you seen what's the Fanatics guy's name? He does the white party.
Yeah, I know exactly who you're talking about. I can't remember his name.
Oh, it's going to ruin. Michael Rubin.
Yeah.
Goodness. I saw that he's throwing a athletic, it's almost like an athletic decathlon where he's getting 50 celebrities and creators and 50 athletes from different ilk, and he's putting them through, I think it's 8 sports. So it'll be like home run derby, throwing accuracy with a football, maybe swimming, like a bunch of different stuff, maybe field goal kick, penalty kicks or something like that. And he's going to try to find which of them is the best, well-rounded, all-encompassing sports athlete. And obviously there's going to be the YouTubers, I don't know, the Kais and the iShow Speeds or whatever their names are.
Of course.
But there's also going to be Tom Brady. And there's also going to be some legit, it might be the dumbest thing ever. And I think it's $1 million. He's putting a $400,000 car to second place. and like a $200,000 trading card, like a Mahomes rookie or something to third place. It might be the dumbest thing ever. It might be really cool to watch. I'm gonna just tune in and find out for 10 minutes and see if it can keep my attention. But I think there's more room in the sports world for like these kind of one-off entertainment events.
Mr. Beast out here kicking field goals.
He might. He might. I wouldn't be surprised. Like that's a lot of money. I don't know. Yeah. I think you're going to get a lot of people out there, and it's a lot of exposure and that kind of stuff.
I think the soccer tournament, like the TST, is a really cool thing, and it's big for the area. That's the one thing you got to keep in mind as well, is that in terms of the amount of money that comes in, it's a big thing.
And by the way, if you just have kids that you want to get hooked on soccer, smaller fields, faster action, more goals, celebrities, good location nearby. It's get the excitement going.
Go enjoy.
That was what number was that?
That was 4.
Let's get to number 3.
I think anytime we go into the draft, we want to draft the best player available. So what we did in free agency, it definitely set us up to take the best guy.
So yesterday, Panthers Blueprint came out on YouTube. It is a behind-the-scenes look. The latest episode is a behind-the-scenes look at the Panthers draft. We're talking Carolina Panthers. We didn't reference this earlier. I want to talk Eric Eager. So Eric Eager, if you watched, it reminded me, and I've referenced this movie probably too often, of Jonah Hill's character in Moneyball. But specifically at the beginning of the movie when he's working for the Indians, like whatever other team they were negotiating with, where the GM would just kind of casually look at him in the corner and get like a nod or a yes or a no. So Eric Eager officially is the VP of Football Analytics with the Carolina Panthers. If you believe, and there's some people do, like it's darn near like numerology or like palm reading. Some people have really, really aggressive opinions on how important you are in a franchise in the NFL can be judged by where you sit in the draft war room, how close you are to the GM, who is sitting next to you and all that. Eric Eager sat in a very important spot. He sat where the GM, Dan Morgan, could whisper to him and Eager could whisper back, and only Brant Tillis would hear. And Brant Tillis is right-hand man of Dan Morgan. That is an important spot. I've interviewed Eric Eager. I was at the Super Bowl a couple years ago, and he was there with Thomas Dimitrov, the old GM for the Falcons. They had a startup called, I think it was Summer Sports or Sumer Sports, and they were championing their startup. And it was funny because Dimitrov, the former GM, was very much like the face, but Eager had all the answers. And especially when they started getting the questions that I ask, right? The nerdy questions. When they needed numbers, they went to Eager. And it's fascinating. It is very much a modern football discussion when he is there. It's less, I heard the pop of his pads and knew he was a ball player. And more, the GPS numbers tell us that wide receivers that are at least 6'4" need to also decelerate on their brakes by at least X amount of meters per second squared or whatever the heck. And he had all of that. And when I talked to him, I walked away going, I don't know who that guy is, but he's smart. And then he pops up in this video, and I hadn't thought about him since. And if you watched it, or if you're going to watch it later, I don't know how you come up with the answers he was giving. I don't know how he does it with it's like a magic trick where Dan Morgan would lean back and say, hey, what are the chances one of these two guys are available at our pick? And Eager would look down at his computer and go like 41%. I'm just like, where are you getting how? Is it mock drafts? Do you do your own mock drafts? Have you put your own probabilities? What numbers do you put in? But here's the part that is most important. Dan Morgan trusted him, right? He'd say 41%, and Dan was making decisions off of that. All right, we better trade up and go get him because 41's not enough. Or, hey, what are the chances one of these three guys are there? 50%? All right, it's good enough for me. We'll wait. Like, he was making decisions off of what this guy's algorithms were telling him. And there is something wildly important about having that kind of trust from Dan Morgan for this reason. I'm not calling Dan Morgan dumb, right? I just admit I don't know either. There's no way those algorithms like Dan knew, right? Maybe he had it explained to him rudimentally, like in a quick fashion, but he was just trusting Eric Eager. That makes him a very important person in the Panthers facility. If you have that kind of trust, even on something as simple as like mock drafting and projections, oh boy, you better be right. Because if they trade up to go get a person based on you saying there's only a 21% chance he's going to be there or whatever he said, and they didn't have to, you just cost the team a pick, or you cost the team a future asset by your numbers not being right. That is wild. And part of me does just want like an old scout sitting next to the GM going, you see how wide his hips are? As a football player, draft him in the second. Instead, they go to the guy with the computer, and he's shouting out numbers. That's number 3. Let's hit number 2.
Just the two of us. That ball slapped by Gallagher in the gap and gone.
Both Duke and UNC hosting super regionals on their way, hopefully, to Omaha for the College Baseball World Series. This is good. I mean, there's no way you can convince me that winning is bad. So this is a good thing for both schools. I'm also choosing to use it as a way to rub some stuff in the SEC's face. Because now the ACC has 5 teams that have made super regionals. The SEC has 4. Even though everybody told me the SEC is better at everything and they're unbelievable and it means more and baseball is better and they have more money and they have more money and they have more money. All right, well, the ACC has more super regional teams. How you like me now? First of all, let's hear from Scott Forbes.
You like that?
Nope.
You like that?
Did I go full Kirk Cousins? Was that
That's
your,
okay.
Was that your hint to reel it in?
That's
or
okay.
Go,
No.
You like that? Scott Forbes, UNC baseball coach. Let's go to the experience clip. This is a clip from him in the postgame after they eliminated Oklahoma to go to the Super Regionals, where he talks about they have an experience factor in big games.
I would have preferred, obviously, to have won it yesterday and rested, but I just woke up, unfortunately, yesterday and just had this feeling, hey, obviously we feel like we had a chance to win, but I just thought, man, this thing might go to Monday, so we have to make the right decisions in the game and make sure we have these 2 horses ready and stay positive. But yeah, I mean, that's good for you. We did it in 22. We did it last year. And I tell the guys, it's this time of year you have to expect hard. If you pull away like we did, that's awesome. I enjoy that, but it's not as the harder it is. These guys know the harder you have to work for it, the more gratifying it is.
I agree that the experience matters. I agree. I said this earlier, but it's kind of weird to talk about how like the harder it is, the more it matters. Right after you won 14-4 and you were up 8-2 real quick, and it was kind of felt easy. But yes, they had to play 1 extra game because they didn't get it done the day before, so they're riding off that, and I got you. Do you know what surprises me most? When the ACC goes on a run in basketball. When the ACC goes on a run, even in football, and the SEC is confused because they have so much more money, I don't get it, right? I'm like, why you don't think that you can spend smarter, or in basketball you can get the one right guy, and that's the whole difference? Baseball, I think money matters. There's no excuse not to be the better conference if your teams have more money. Because other teams are trying to get by with like splitting a scholarship between 3 people. Like there's if you can just give everyone a scholarship, you're at a huge advantage in baseball. And the SEC was spending way more than that, and they still got passed by the ACC. Not saying the ACC isn't spending a ton, but the reports are not as much. That's where the SEC fans should be mad. You got more money and you're still losing. It's not like the ACC, like in basketball. If you, no offense, and I'm not saying this about Duke, but if you had kind of a mediocre Power 5 roster and Cooper Flag, you could be pretty good. Baseball, you can't, right? Like, you got a mediocre roster, but we have Paul Skeens. It's like, all right, well, every 4th or 5th day, you're going to be pretty good. Hey, we got a mediocre roster, but we have Juan Soto. It's like, all right, cool. What about the other 8 batters? And what happens when Soto goes 1 for 4, with a homer, which is still a good day, but you need to find 6 other runs. You need a full team. Money matters a lot. And Duke and UNC are hosting Super Regionals, so maybe they're spending money. Who knows? That's number 2. Let's hit number 1.
Go one! Going up Stankoven. Stankoven with a shot. He scores! Logan Stankoven. And for the first time in this series, the Canes have a lead. It's 1-0. Carolina.
It's 1-0. Logan Stankoven, man. Lock him up to a long-term deal, which is part of this offseason, okay? The Canes earlier today had their exit interviews for the GM, Eric Tulsky, and the head coach, Rod Brindamore. Am I wrong, Dennis, in saying after watching the entire presser, Tulsky was coy? Vague, maybe.
He played it close to the vest.
Which I'm not saying is bad. Actually, I kind of get it.
Mm-hmm.
But it is a bit of a change from Tulsky, at least in my experience. We've had the luxury of interviewing him a few times. We've seen him about. He does seem to be like, if you ask a question, I'll answer it type of dude. He doesn't like being coy, but I think he recognizes the value in kind of withholding information going into what's going to be a busy offseason for the Canes, right? You don't want anybody to know what you're desperate for or what you're not desperate for, what you think is okay, right? Which is, part of it. Here, we'll play the clip about trying to get top-end players from Tulsky, which is why I think he settles in on certain phrases and comes back to them a whole bunch of times. Here's Eric Tulsky on the Canes going out and trying to get and keep top-end players.
I prickle a little at the idea that it was a suggestion we needed something until we have all the best players in the league, we're going to keep trying to add. And it doesn't matter how many goal scorers we have. If there's a premium goal scorer out there who we can get, we're going to try and bring him in. I don't think Tampa or Dallas was looking at their team saying we really need a goal scorer. It's just you've got great players who you can bring in, you do it. And we're going to keep taking those swings every time we can.
All right. I'm going to remember this, Eric Tulsky. When the Canes have 2 separate 40-goal scorers and they have the best the blue line in the league and the best power play and the best penalty kill, I'm going to expect you to keep going and bringing in more 40-goal scorers. I'm never going to be happy because you said you're never going to be happy unless they have all 20 of the best players in the league on the roster. That's what I'm going for. No, that's one of the things he settles into when he wants to let you know. And by the way, this is me inferring. I don't have the Tulsky translation. When he wants you to know that he's doing everything he can to improve the roster, but he doesn't want to give you a darn detail publicly about how he's doing it, the line is, until we have the 20 best players in the league on the roster, we're going to keep working for you. And it's his way of saying, I hear the question, but I ain't answering it. I'm going to answer it with something that sounds like it means something, but it doesn't. It sounds like, okay, cool, write it down. All right, 20 best players. You walk away going, yeah, okay.
You said that when they traded for Rantanen.
And he'll say it all the time. Anytime there's a piece of information that he wants to keep close to the vest, that's what he goes to. And by the way, I don't think we're entitled to knowing everything that goes on in his head. I think it's nice when he does, treat it very openly and answer questions. I appreciate it, but I don't think we're entitled to it. And if that gives him some 1% leg up in leverage in a negotiation with a free agent or in negotiations for a trade, then I would ask him to do it. I'd go, don't tell me if you think it's going to ruin your leverage, because I think we're all in favor of better hockey and better players being here in Carolina. But it sets the stage, right? If he truly is always looking for the best players, he's got some money to spend and he's got some picks and everything else to go, hog wild with. Well, I want to see what he does. My expectations are high. The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 99.9 The Fan. Dennis, do you have something you'd like to tell people? He does. Here's Dennis Cox.
I definitely do. Dennis Cox here for my friends over at Law Tigers. Folks, it's the time of year you're going to see a lot more motorcycles out there on the road. You've been seeing them already. Heck, I might be the one on the motorcycle, so don't hit me. So be safe when you're out there on the road, folks. But this is something for all motorcycle riders to keep in mind. Make sure your insurance is up to date. Did you know there are a lot of counties out here, 100 across the state of North Carolina, that there are, in some counties, 1 of every 8 drivers on the road is either underinsured or uninsured. That's drivers out there on the road. That's not only just, it impacts motorcycle riders, that impacts you as a driver as well. So if you are injured in an accident, well, if they're underinsured or uninsured as a driver, well, guess what? That's where your insurance has to kick in to help cover the cost after that point. So that is the reason why, to make sure your insurance is fully up to date. Make sure your insurance is fully maxed out on that uninsured motorist if you get in an accident with someone that's uninsured. Make sure you have that fully covered, because the last thing you want to do is pay expenses out of pocket. That's something that you can't really afford to deal with. But if you want to make sure after an accident that you are completely covered and taken care of, this is where you got to call Law Tigers. Give Law Tigers a call, 1-800-LAW-TIGERS, if you're injured in a motorcycle accident. Law Tigers, they know what you're going through after an accident because they are part of that motorcycle riding community. They know what your gear is worth, what your bike is worth, and again, what you're going through after an accident. Your case evaluation with them is always free, and they won't get paid until your case settles. So call 1-800-LAW-TIGERS, North Carolina's motorcycle injury lawyers. Law Tigers is a network of independent law firms who are members of the American Association of Motorcycle Injury Lawyers. Law Tigers is not a law firm.
We need numbers game contestants. I should say that with the mic on this time. We need numbers game contestants. Right now, call 919-860-5326 for your chance to compete in the numbers game. The prize for today, a free race at Rush Hour Karting. You don't want to miss it. Numbers game. We need 2 contestants. Call in now, 919-860-5326. Prize, free race at Rush Hour Karting. Numbers game coming up next.
Evan, Canty, and Michelle are unsportsmanlike.
If Will Howard is on the board to be your starting quarterback at any point this season, that means you should have drafted a quarterback earlier in the NFL draft. That's the problem with allowing the Aaron Rodgers thing to drag out after the NFL draft, because you limit the options that you have to upgrade that quarterback room.
Mornings from 6 to 9 on 99.9 The Fan, the Triangle Sports Leader.
Westwood One Sports presents this special tennis update. The day in Paris began with the start of the women's quarterfinals and straight set victories for top-seeded Aryna Sabalenka and 3-time defending champion Iga Swiatek. So we have the highly anticipated semifinal match between them on Thursday. Then it was time for the men. Italy's Lorenzo Musetti beat the American Francis Tiafoe in 4 sets. There was controversy when Musetti kicked a ball that hit a linesman. Novak Djokovic did that once at the U.S. Open and got disqualified. Musetti was not.
I said sorry, I apologize to everyone. I think the umpire saw that there was no intention about that, and that's why he probably just let me continue my game.
Tiafoe was asked his reaction.
Obviously, he did that and nothing happened. I think that's comical, but it is what it is. Nothing happened, so there's nothing really to talk about.
Musetti gets a couple days off, then returns Friday for a semifinal match with Carlos Alcaraz. John Stashower, Westwood One Sports.
Oh no, stomach issues again?
Stomach issues? Who are you? Your pancreas. I could be the real reason for your diarrhea, gas, bloating, stomach pain, or loose oily stools.
I thought it was my stomach.
People often do, but any of these symptoms could mean having a condition called exocrine pancreatic insufficiency, or EPI. With EPI, the pancreas doesn't release enough enzymes to break down food, but EPI is manageable. Use the symptom checker on identifyepi.com and speak with your doctor. That's identifyepi.com. Sponsored by AbbVie.
With Fidelity Wealth Management, a dedicated advisor gets to know you and your goals to build a comprehensive plan to help grow and protect your wealth. Backed by a team of specialists, they'll analyze all your accounts, even the ones they don't manage, to keep an eye on taxes and provide proactive portfolio insights that can help you unlock your wealth's full potential. Learn more at fidelity.com/wealth. Investment minimums apply. Fidelity Brokerage Services, LLC. Member NYSE SIPC.
This is Gordon Miller from Miller Lending in Cary. Over the years, I'm often asked why we made the choice to become one of the only mortgage companies in the state to provide loans without closing costs as a primary source of funding. And my response is always the same. How did closing costs ever become a thing? Who was that first person who asked for a lower rate heard it would cost $15,000 to save $50 a month, smiled and said, "That'd be great." Recently, we're noticing a trend of large national lenders quoting low rates but with a high APR. This is the definition of what happened when that first person asked for a lower rate but ignored how much it would cost. Quotes today are a two-part process. It's not just the rate, but what are the closing costs? At Miller Lending, we simply don't believe you'll keep your loan long enough to realize additional savings. So before you throw away thousands of dollars in needless fees, pick up the phone and call Miller Lending today. 919-447-3377, or simply apply online at millerlending.com. Miller Lending is an equal housing lender and MLS number 250-2146.
Why'd I go to the doctor? One day at the firehouse, I was so lightheaded I could barely stand. Even my crew noticed. Getting checked out was the right call. Turns out I have atrial fibrillation, which increases the risk of stroke about 5 times.
Symptoms like irregular heartbeat, heart racing, chest pain, shortness of breath, fatigue, or lightheadedness can come and go. But if it's AFib, the risk of stroke remains. If you have symptoms, contact a doctor.
I'm so glad I did.
Visit notimetowait.com. Sponsored by Bristol Myers Squibb and Pfizer.
The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 99.9 The Fan. It is time to play the numbers game. Our contestants for today, Ryan in Raleigh and Cameron in Raleigh. Raleigh on Raleigh battle. The prize is a free race at Rush Hour Karting and the glory that comes with winning the numbers game.
We actually just had someone drop.
Oh.
So Cameron just dropped, so Ryan's still on the line.
All right, well, that means we need another caller. Call in now, 919-860-5326. Dennis might already have someone on the line. Nope. All right, call in now, 919-860-5326. Right now. It gets so exciting when it feels like a pit stop in NASCAR or F1 when somebody drops. We're like, switch, new tires.
Ironically, it's Cameron.
Oh.
Cameron called right back in on time.
Cameron and Raleigh. All right, way to go. In that case, we will do the question since Cameron disconnected but called back in quickly. I will ask the same question to both contestants. Dennis will hear and pick his favorite answer, and that person will get to go first. Ryan, are you ready to answer a question?
Yes, sir.
All right, so the coach and GM had their exit interview today, which means players for the Canes are already off to their off-season plans. If you had just played a grueling 80-plus game season followed by a grueling postseason, not many days off, the days you were off, you were watching film and recovering, and now you had a couple of weeks to rest your body, what are you doing first? Where are you going? Who are you going to go with? Give us the plan.
I mean, when you fall short just a little bit like the Canes, you got to get back to work. We got to get that Stanley Cup. So I think you're going right back to work.
All right.
We're just short.
All right. So you're like back at Invisalign Arena, the practice facility, grinding, skating, and doing all that.
Absolutely. We got to bring one back to Raleigh.
All right. Ryan and Raleigh with a real competitor, kind of a little bit hard-o answer, but we're there. Well, I feel the vibes. Cameron and Raleigh, are you there?
I am actually here.
All right, same question. We're going the same question to you, right? With the Canes kind of spreading out on their first off-season excursions. You just played a grueling 100 games, right? Just every night it seemed. And you have some time off, maybe get your body recovered. Where are you going? Who are you going with? Give us the plan.
Yeah, well, if I'm a pro athlete in my 20s and I just got done with everything and I'm rich, man, I'm going down to Miami. I'm taking the boys with me, and I don't even know where I am for a week, you know? The tape can wait a little bit. I'm going to go the complete opposite of Ryan.
I was going to say, you could not have two further apart answers. One is like, forget letting my body recover. I'm checking guys into the boards tonight. The other is, forget letting my body recover. I'm not going to remember who I am tonight. That's those are the two options. Dennis, go ahead and pick your favorite.
Yeah, I can't imagine vacationing in the weight room.
I have to think this is a Goldilocks situation.
Oh, 100%.
Where one's too hot, one's too cold. The right answer is somewhere in the middle, but you got to pick.
I mean, I'm probably going to lead towards Cameron on this one, just for the simple fact that, you know what, actually, just the beach sounds nice. That sounds really good. I'm going to remember all of it. and that's okay.
I hear what Ryan's saying.
Yeah, I get it.
But I think it's like unplugging is valuable. You
have to.
You need to after a season.
You have to. But yeah.
But I do hear what he's saying. Like, my mind is on next season already.
Where do you vacation? Planet Fitness.
Invisalign. All right, so Cameron and Raleigh gets to go first, correct? All right, Cameron, are you ready to pick a category?
I sure am.
All right, we have NFL. F is for, that means their first name starts with the letter F. NFL milestones on the way. These are players who are close to certain big statistical milestones. NBA players that have had buzzer-beating game winners since 2020, so essentially in the last 5 years. Or NHL Hurricanes only.
NHL Hurricanes only.
All right. Give us 1 second to pull up the list. All right. The way this works is I will give you the team and the player. You give me the jersey number as quickly as you can. I will say the team in this category, even though we know it, to keep it fair timing-wise with the other categories. You give me the jersey number as fast as you can. 30 seconds on the clock. 1 pass if you need it. Any questions before we get started?
No, let's do it.
All right. Your time will start when you hear the horn. Jalen Chatfield, Carolina Hurricanes.
5.
Correct. Pyotr Kochetkov, Carolina Hurricanes.
52.
Correct. Eric Holla, Carolina Hurricanes.
56.
Correct. Andreas Nodal, Carolina Hurricanes.
14.
Correct. Aaron Ward, Carolina Hurricanes.
4.
Look at that! I'll tell you what, in Miami, you may not remember where you are, but you darn sure remembered all the Carolina Hurricanes. Dennis, what was the time on that?
17 and a half seconds.
That's not the record, but you're knocking on the door. I think the record was 15-something.
14 and a half.
14 and a half. But that was, heck, that might have been me not saying Carolina Hurricanes fast enough. Way to go. I'm impressed.
Thank you.
But I will say this, it's the disclaimer we give every time. I have seen someone get a perfect score only to get one-upped by a better perfect score by the next caller. Thus we go to Mr. Grinds Tape himself, Mr. Back to the Practice Facility, Ryan and Raleigh. Ryan, are you ready?
Yes.
All right. I will say, I hope you've been practicing like your answer because it's not going to be easy. The categories for you are NFL players whose first name.
Either one of the NFL ones are fine. Either one of the NFL ones.
All right, we're gonna have to pick. Do you want first names that start? That's not how it works because then I can see the list. I can see the lists, and I don't want to suggestions of any kind of improper play.
The records one. Then.
Okay, cool. These are NFL players that have major milestones on the horizon. When we're done, I will tell you what the milestones are. If you're interested. Your time. I'll give you the team and the player. Give me the jersey number as quickly as you can. 30 seconds on the clock. 1 pass if you need it. You do need all 5 faster than the previous contestant for the win. Any questions before we get started?
No, sir.
All right, your time will start when you hear the horn. Saquon Barkley, Philadelphia Eagles.
26.
Correct. Cooper Kupp, Los Angeles Rams.
10.
Correct. Harrison Butker, Kansas City Chiefs.
87.
Incorrect. Trey Hendrickson, Cincinnati Bengals.
99.
Incorrect. Harrison Butker, Kansas City Chiefs.
19.
Incorrect. Trey Hendrickson, Cincinnati Bengals.
91.
Correct. Adam Thielen, Carolina Panthers.
18.
Incorrect. Harrison Butker, Kansas City Chiefs. It was a solid run. I mean, it by comparison, it doesn't look great, but 3 is a solid number. So congratulations on a well-played game. Unfortunately, not the winner, but hopefully you had some fun.
Absolutely.
All right. I will give everybody what milestones they're close to in a second, but first I want to congratulate Cameron and Raleigh. Cameron, you get the free race at Rush Hour Karting, and you get the glory of not only being the winner, but being a perfect score winner. Way to go.
Awesome. I'm going to Miami right now.
There you go. You need to go celebrate somewhere. After a long, grueling numbers game, you got to go to South Beach.
Ryan's got to go grind tape now.
Ryan's going to listen back and go,
Yep.
Oh, he definitely had a coach in the background, by the way. We can hear you. I don't know if everybody knows this. If somebody else is screaming numbers at you, we can hear you. So his coach in the background, you all got to grind tape. Go figure it out. As that contestant gets the prize, I should let everybody know the milestones. Saquon Barkley is 406 yards away from 10,000 yards from scrimmage. pretty good career so far. Cooper Kupp is 3 touchdowns away from 60 receiving touchdowns. Harrison Butker is 8 points away from being a 1,000 career point scorer. Hendrickson is 3 sacks away from hitting 80 on his career. And Thielen is just 4 touchdown catches away from 70 career touchdowns. So he and Kupp kind of close. Those are the milestones that they were close to. I don't even know if – I did say Adam Thielen, so I already said them all. All right, that is going to be I think that's it for the numbers game. I always feel like I'm forgetting something here. The prize was a free race at Rush Hour Karting. Go ahead and check them out. They have simulators. They got a whole cool environment there.
Yeah, golf simulators, axe throwing. There's a whole bunch of stuff going on over there.
And the karting is pretty sweet.
And it's right by Invisalign Arena, which is where you can see Ryan out there grinding.
Yeah, Ryan can go practice, and his buddies can go to Rush Hour Karting and have a good time. That is, I kind of love the answer. I know I'm teasing Ryan.
It's fun.
It is. Like, you just lost in the Eastern Conference Finals. Where are you going to relax? Relax. I don't see a cup on any trophy case. I'm going back to the practice arena. Speaking of off seasons, we have some questions about the Carolina Hurricanes. But first, Dennis Cox has something he'd like to tell you.
Hey, folks, Dennis Cox here for my friends over at Loan Pronto. Folks, you might be maxed out on your credit cards. Maybe you're struggling with high-interest debt. You can pay it all off in days with Loan Pronto's Rapid Equity Loan. Get cash out now without touching your low-rate first mortgage. No appraisals, no waiting, no BS. The Rapid Equity Loan Program at Loan Pronto is amazing. One Loan Pronto client just got $300,000 approved in under 24 hours. They paid off debt, renovated their kitchen, and cut their monthly expenses by $1,800. That's a huge turnaround. Loan Pronto, instant approvals, low rates, no hard credit pull up front. Listen, your home equity is yours. Use it. Get cash to consolidate your debt down to one easy low monthly payment. Call Loan Pronto now for a free instant appraisal for your home and see how much cash you can get today. Loan Pronto is A+ rated by the BBB and have nearly 2,500 5-star Google reviews. Their service is off the charts. Call now to start the conversation. 919-381-1760. LoanPronto.com. 919-381-1760. Get debt relief now. LoanPronto.com. Equal housing lender, NMLS 1661781 on approved credit, NMLSconsumeraccess.org.
The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 99.9 The Fan, will be back with another question about the Carolina Panthers. Stick around.
Victoria Vodnecker here from 99.9 The Fan with Dr. Brenna Houlihan from Wake Med. She's here to educate us a little bit more on Men's Health Month. Now, we've been talking about colonoscopies and whether someone is considering or not to have colorectal cancer screenings because they're experiencing some irregular symptoms. What are those symptoms that people might see that you would recommend they seek care for?
So some of the symptoms you see is really just change in your bowel habits. You know, you go from being sort of regular one way, it gets skinnier, it changes in consistency. That's something to keep in mind, and as well as bleeding. However, most colon cancers are asymptomatic or without any symptoms for a very long time. So even if you're not having those symptoms, make sure you stay within those screening windows and make sure you're getting those screening colonoscopies, even if you don't have a single symptom.
Wow, really important to pay super close attention to certain things. Well, thank you so much, Dr. Houlihan. And if you have any questions or want to find a provider local to you, you can visit wakemed.org.
Oh, these polymers aren't as flexible as batch K3.
Researcher Laurie is stretched thin.
Did you get the vulcanization analytics from V66? Oh, wait, are these rubber scores from last week?
She needs to hire new lab technicians so she can bounce back into her old self.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. Our matching platform lets you spend less time searching and more time connecting with candidates. Redeem your $75 credit at Indeed.com/credit. Terms and conditions apply.
Progressive knows there are some surprisingly expensive things in life, like frames. Because you found a classic 70s concert poster. But when you went to get it framed, you realized the frame will cost about 4 times the amount of the poster. Which is actually absurd because no one will be looking at the frame, and if they are, then you severely overestimated how cool this poster is. But then you remember by switching your home and auto to Progressive, you could save hundreds and put it towards a classic 70s concert poster in an absurdly overpriced frame. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company, affiliates, and other insurers. Not available in all states.
We all hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you to be afraid, to be scared, and they try to frighten you into calling. I'm not here to do that. Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000, we have a solution. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in your car, at work, or with your kids. No matter where you are, call now. 800-575-8157. Don't lose hope. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS.
Generous programs are now available that can give you a fresh start.
Our passion is taxes and helping individuals fix their IRS problems.
We have over 1,000 5-star reviews on Google and an A+ with the Better Business Bureau.
You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today by visiting us online at TRA.com or call
800-575-8157. That's 800-575-8157.
Tax Relief Advocates. Real solutions for real people.
Celebrate 50 years of adventure at Busch Gardens, Williamsburg. Enjoy award-winning performances and European-inspired attractions. Feel the excitement of thrilling rides like the all-new Big Bad Wolf, The Wolf's Revenge, now open. And seasonal events like the Food and Wine Festival, where you can taste, sip, and savor more than 150 flavors from around the world, featuring over 80 new menu items. Only at the world's most beautiful theme park. Get limited time deals at buschgardens.com.
Still getting around to that fix on your car? You got this. On eBay, you'll find millions of parts guaranteed to fit. Doesn't matter if it's a major engine repair or your first time swapping your windshield wipers. eBay has that part you need, ready to click perfectly into place for changes big and small. Loud or quiet, find all the parts you need at prices you'll love. Guaranteed to fit every time. But you already know that. eBay. Things, people, love. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply.
Lionsgate's Ballerina follows Ana de Armas as Eve Macaro, a young assassin trained by the Ruska Roma, set between the events of John Wick Chapter 3, Parabellum, and Chapter 4, with a hauntingly elegant edge. In theaters this Friday, June 6th. Again, that is Ballerina in theaters this Friday, June 6th.
The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 99.9 The Fan. 51 days until training camp. 5-1. We're doing one question a day until training camp every show for the Carolina Panthers. I had one that's going to be a longer conversation, so we might have to save it for tomorrow because there's not much time here. So instead, we'll ask you this one, Dennis. What are your expectations for Trevor Etienne? Because he was kind of featured a bit in the blueprint where they did all like a lot more focus on first round, second round, third round, and then it became like we know we had other needs, but when a player like Trevor Etienne's there, you just got to go get him. And I went, all right, they might have more expectation for their fourth round pick than I do. What do you think is a good season for fourth round running back out of Georgia? Trevor Etienne, he did start his career with the Florida Gators.
I think what you're going to see his most immediate impact from the get-go is going to be in the return game. I would not be surprised if it's Etienne and a combination possibly of Jimmy Horn Jr. As your two return guys on kickoffs, and then either one of those guys rotating in as your punt returner as well. I think that's where you're going to see the immediate impact of him. I think the biggest area you might see him possibly be is if they want to go, hey, let's just go out here and just go like a quote-unquote 2-minute drill, even though it's like 8 minutes left in the second quarter. We're just going to go out there and play fast, go no huddle, because he can catch the ball well out of the backfield. I think that's where you're going to see him most. Can he pass protect? That's probably the biggest question.
I was going to bring it right
That's the biggest one. But if you want to, they're just in two tight ends and two receivers and one running back, and all of a sudden they're spread out 5 wide. Maybe that's where you see Etienne. I think what you saw Miles Sanders early in the year, I think that's his role.
There is a opening for a pass catching back.
Yeah.
Because I love Chuba. And Rico Dowdle just has very similar skill set kind of usage, even though their like physical gifts are a little different. They thrive at a similar part of the game. So that's to me like a true backup. It might be a situation where if they have a pass catching back and like Chuba gets hurt, the pass catching back's role doesn't change at all, and Dowdle just steps into the kind of 1A. I like thinking about him as a returner, and Dan Morgan brought that up when he joined us on the show, that, hey, he's got return ability, because I assumed that was like 90% of the reason Jimmy Horn was drafted. And he looks quick as all get out. If you've seen any of the – I know it's just OTA clips, but, foot speed matters. Jimmy Horn looks quick.
Unfortunately, a little hamstring injury right now.
Yeah, he wasn't there today. But like he's – this is as like casual a fan take as you'll ever hear from me. Feet get moving on ladder drills. Like he do you ever do a ladder drill in a game? No, but it's I don't know. It's mesmerizing.
It translates.
It's mesmerizing sometimes. ETN becomes a really interesting one for me. I was not high on him coming out of the draft. I did not think he was one of the better picks. I thought there were other guys I would have rather had at that 4th round area. But to just consistently hear them be high on him means it's like, all right, maybe there is something there. You touched on it, and I'm not breaking news here. Every running back other than like Ashton Genty and Omarion Hampton, because they're 1st-round picks, they do not get on the field if they can't pass protect. And that is something that is earned, not given in the NFL, meaning you have to show them you can pass protect. Travion Henderson was a great pass protector at Ohio State. He has to prove to the New England Patriots that he can do it, or else he's not going to get on the field. Quarterbacks are too valuable. They just are. And if you are responsible for stonewalling someone, I'm not saying you got to win every time, but you can't whiff, right? You got to at least be a speed bump that they run over slowly. So that's to me what it all comes down to. If ETN can prove he can pass protect, I think there's a role for what you said, 3rd and longs. I don't know if you put him out there for 2-minute drill because that's just so important, unless it's like into the first half 2-minute drill. And you're paying Chuba to do some stuff. But if he can pass protect, I'm coming around to the thought that he might actually be on the field on offense a little bit. When I didn't see a path there when he was drafted. And then when Dan started talking about his special teams, I went, oh, all right. I didn't know that. So I thought that was going to be an area. But it is interesting that 4th round, that's not a nothing pick. 4th round is I mean, it's not like an expected starter right away. But that's not a flyer, right? If you have a position of need, you might try to fill it in the 4th round, and they went with a running back, which was interesting. And we'll have to see how that all goes.
I do know one of the things written up about him on draft profiles and stuff was that he has a pretty good understanding of protections,
all right, well,
which is a good thing if you want to be a 3rd down back.
Sometimes the younger brother comes out like a prodigy because the older brother has been putting him on game for a while, and he is Travis Etienne's little brother. And Travis Etienne can pass protect. And has since Clemson. So maybe that's it, right? Sometimes the little brother just comes out a little bit more prepared, ready to roll. If he can pass protect, everything changes. There's not many rookies that come out good pass protectors at running back. Because in college, you're so good, they just want to get you the ball.
Yeah, exactly. You're running out routes.
Yeah, like
hey, go to the slot and go.
You're a future NFL running back. Why would we have you stonewalling linebackers? We want you with the ball in your hands. Then you get to the pros, and it's like, no, we need you stonewalling linebackers a lot. The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 99.9 The Fan, coming to a close. We have Overdrive coming up. We'll talk Tulski. We'll talk Dan Morgan. It'll be a fun show. Matter of fact, we already had those conversations, and that's what Overdrive is, where we play the hits. I said this at the end of – I hosted Adam Gold's show today, the Adam Gold show before this one. I appreciate all of you real quick. Not to get sappy, and I don't do sappy well. But there's a time not that long ago I would have moved mountains just to get to host an hour. And I would have driven hours just to host an hour on this network. To do 6 in one day, that's pretty cool in my mind, and I don't want to be anything but appreciative. So thank you all for listening. Dennis, thanks for keeping us up and running. Everybody else, we'll see you tomorrow for the Drive at 3. Enjoy Overdrive coming up right here. Have a great night, everybody.
Champions are crowned in June. The NBA Finals.
The Oklahoma City Thunder going to the finals for the first time in 13 years.
The Stanley Cup Finals.
The Florida Panthers are on their way back to the Stanley Cup Final.
The U.S. Open.
And strokes the putt up the hill into the middle. 2 times a U.S. Open champion, Bryce DeChambeau.
And the College World Series. Your home for championship action all month long. 99.9 The Fan, the Triangle Sports Leader.
Is your heating and air system ready for the changing season? Call Newcomb & Company to ensure your system is running at peak performance. As a Comfort Contract customer, you'll get priority service and a 15% discount on all HVAC and plumbing service calls and repairs. Newcomb & Company, your independent trained dealer, has proudly served our community for more than 70 years, delivering reliable comfort and peace of mind. Call 919-862-3000 or visit newcombandcompany.com. Newcomb & Company, your comfort is our business.
Hey, what do you say? John Forsland here for my friends at Buffalo Brothers. We're close to crowning a hockey champion, and when I'm not calling playoff games around the country, the first thing I do when I'm back in the Triangle is head to Buffalo Brothers. The best wings on the planet, and a great place to watch all the big games. Visit all 5 Triangle locations for great specials, like half-price pizzas, Monday through Friday, 4:30 to 6, and a $6 Bloody Mary on Sunday. Dine in, carry out, get it delivered. BuffBrothers.com. Aw, man, now I want wings.
It's Men's Health Month. WakeMed Primary Care wants to remind you to schedule your annual checkup. It's important to know your health numbers related to cholesterol, blood pressure, blood sugar, weight, and BMI before it leads to chronic diseases. Focus on your health and preventing disease by building healthy habits and getting that yearly checkup and those screenings you've been putting off. To schedule your appointment, visit wakemed.org.
Breaking news coming in from Bet365, and it's no surprise. Same game parlay from Bet365 just keeps getting better.
Well, it's even easier to make a bet. Choose from the most popular markets like hits, run line, totals, and home runs. So many to choose from.
Download the app, start building your bet, and see why it's never ordinary at Bet365. Gambling problem? Call 1-877-718-5543 or visit morethanagame.nc.gov. 21 plus only. Must be physically located in North Carolina. T&Cs apply.
Let's move! We have soccer practice, dance, and a play date.
Life moves fast, so every second counts, especially when it comes to big decisions like buying a car. That's why searching through Navy Federal's car buying service powered by TrueCar is a perfect place to start.
Thanks, Mom!
Navy Federal can help you find and finance the right vehicle so you can go wherever life takes you. Visit NavyFederal.org/TrueCar to learn more. Navy Federal Credit Union. Our members are the mission. Navy Federal is insured by NCUA. Credit and collateral subject to approval.
Triple play, triple play, triple play. 3 ways to win on every scratch-off. They're like a 3-man wrecking crew of winning potential smashing into your bare hands. Triple threats of cold, hard cash. Prizes up to $1 million. 3 times the play, 3 times the thrills, and 3 ways to win. Triple play from the North Carolina Education Lottery with triple action-packed chances to win.
Must be 18 to play. Approximate overall odds of winning